Call the meeting to order, Griggs County Commission. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So when I was North Dakota PERS couldn't get here on this short of notice.
Oh, I see.
So they were going to conference in, but I told Lori, if they can come the next meeting, it's not a panic deal.
No.
So then they wanted to know what our questions were. So I sent Lori an email that we want to know kind of what their projections are for the liquidity of the program, what their outlook is on the rates going forward, and how they make the actuarial decisions that they do, because I don't think that fund has provided the returns that they state in their annual report and in for their pro forma projections. So I just gave them a list, and they'll come and talk to us next time. So,
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
do roll call. John?
Here.
Dale?
Here.
Mark?
Hello.
Sean?
Here.
Troy's here. Okay, are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the agenda as
It
presented.
wasn't.
Huh?
No, it wasn't.
By Dale. I was looking at Dale. But I'm thinking about the roof leaking.
No.
Because that's what I hear.
It's the speaker.
Oh.
We already deducted that.
Oh, you already inspected? Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
No, I'm mixed up, but that's not unusual.
What?
I said, no, I'm mixed up, but that's not unusual. I'll second it.
So moved.
Moved by Dale, seconded by John to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to the minutes for November 17th.
Make a motion to approve.
Been moved by Mark to approve the minutes from the November 17th Commissioners meeting. Is there a second to the motion?
Second motion.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. November 21st special meeting. Which was a land sale.
Roll call isn't right. I was present and Stefan was absent. It's like a little cut and paste.
Move to approve is corrected.
So moved.
Been moved by Sean to approve the special meeting minutes with correction on the roll. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is Jamie coming today?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the bills.
did we ever get the water shut off up at the?
Yeah.
Shut off?
What's that noise?
Speakers.
It's through the speakers.
Can we kill that?
I've tried what I know.
Why is it doing that?
I'm not sure.
When did it start doing that? When you plugged this phone in?
No. I did unhook that. We can unhook it, but it still was.
Were we able to cancel the garbage too? Up there? Or?
I called and said we were turning the water off, but we are still paying. They said the minimum is $67.
67? Really? And what about garbage? They wouldn't let us shut the garbage off, even though everybody else does when you go south of the
You know, when on that property behind Everson's, the minimum is like $37.
Yeah, that's what.
So I asked.
Maybe this is commercial.
Commercial, I suppose. So she said that was the minimum that it would be.
Okay.
I think she makes up the rules as she goes.
I think so, because the golf course is for irrigation.
Yeah.
At least the garbage, right? You know what you're talking about? Yeah, I think we can do that with.
So the
I think
businesses,
it's just
the
water.
businesses pay the garbage directly, don't they?
No, everything goes to the city, and the city pays Brogger one chunk.
Even the people that have their own dumpsters?
I believe so.
Really?
I believe so.
I did not know that.
So then what's happening now is, what I understand is that Brogger is still sending one lump sum bill for the whole city. So even though people drop off, the city still has to pay for the ones that even aren't getting picked up. Because they have a policy that you can cancel your garbage when you go south.
Well, we did it right through Michelle's pond, and we did it.
Oh.
Of course.
That's I thought the city paid by the ton, you know.
Well,
Wow.
it's probably at that rate or whatever.
I mean, I have no
X
idea.
amount of dollars, so they know how to schedule it out. for each.
I mean, the garbage is only $18 a month
Yeah.
anyway, but
Yeah.
we pay city garbage. I just haul it to
Speaking,
town.
was there electric heat over in that building, or what?
I think so.
That's why the electric's so high on it.
I imagine. Was it? Did you have Mike out at the shop or something?
Mike?
Hanson?
Yes,
Oh,
he hooked up the doors, 4 openers and the sensors, switches.
the door company didn't put those on?
Oh, they don't have a contract.
They
None of
won't-
the door companies,
They won't
Had
touch
the
the
wiring.
electrical.
They usually put those motion sensors on.
they put them on the wall, but they didn't hook up the wires.
Oh,
You know, they put the
they put the sensors
rings
on.
on the wall, but they didn't hook up the wires.
Oh, I
On
see.
the wire up.
$1,700 for 3 garage door openers. That was plenty.
For 3 days or partial.
What?
He was there for 3 days partially, 17 and a half hours. Well, it's not on the ground, you know, you're up on the scaffolding and stuff, and you run conduit.
Well, I know, Wayne. I wired my garage door in my shop. But well, it's done.
What's the tax 125 expense and why is that so far over? I wonder?
It's not budgeted, right? Isn't that withholded from employees?
Oh, you didn't know what item.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the general miscellaneous for 11,000 just on from them?
What page are you on?
Page 6.
No, these are going over.
That's a general miscellaneous in and out. So that's also just generally payroll.
What do we cover with that? That's a payroll item.
I don't know what goes.
That one there, that 638 is someone pays for health insurance for a single
Oh,
one.
I see. Yep. Advanced tax expense? I don't think I've seen that one either. page 7, $7,000 over. Travis here?
It'll be coming.
Yeah, like there,
Yeah.
Chinese water torture.
Stand on the table and rip its guts out. That's right.
Oh. So this is. That should have been something that was budgeted for in the treasurer's office, right?
No, I don't ever remember seeing that one.
Seems like a different line item than I've ever seen.
Yeah, it does. Is that one doing it too? One foot left. Ah, no, push it again. No. What did we change? Nothing?
It's gotta be a receiver or something.
Motion to approve the bill. Did we figure out what that one was? It's account number.
I believe it's everyone who has their taxes in advance. It's not.
That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Prepaid property tax.
Maybe somebody's got, they're going south for winter.
it's this stack of people that have prepaid their taxes.
Okay, so explain, how does that become a negative balance? What are we looking at here?
Well, where does the check gonna? Where's the check
you
gonna
gotta
go?
pay? Is it because you gotta pay it
Into
forward
the
in
treasurer's office,
2018?
I believe, right?
I think because they're all urban, or the majority of them.
No, I mean, how does that become a negative balance for a payment, for a credit, Jimmy? Good afternoon.
So was it came into the treasurer's office, and what do they do with it then? They turn it over to whoever gets it, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Don't you have to wait till we're in the next year or not?
I don't know. Have to ask Connie when she gets here.
Connie will be coming. Yes.
You know what? That kind of makes sense, because I thought I saw like Garrison Conservancy was like negative.
Yeah.
That one was always
trying to find
negative as
that.
well.
Is that why? Because it all,
There's a state tax expense that's negative to 19,265 too.
Yeah, that's just that's an accumulation of, that's an accumulation of what we've paid out to them. When the Garrison number gets to be the worth whatever 1 mil was, and then they're paid in full, plus anything that would have been paid from last year. So the only way I can think of this is they're treating this as a 2018 budget expense.
right.
And they're paying it
It's to be
towards the
carried to
2018
yeah.
budget. Is the only,
Which would make
because
sense.
I've never seen that one before.
Got a motion by Mark on the table to approve the expenses. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Wanted to approve the office reports.
It's been moved by Sean to approve the office reports as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Wayne,
I will let Jake Walgreens speak first on that. He asked for us to.
you talking about the reimbursements now? Is that, or you got
Yeah,
something
a couple
else?
things that
Okay.
have to do with that Doll Bridge project.
Okay.
First thing is there's a fiber line on the west side of the bridge, 40 feet from center line,
A what?
a fiber optic line
Okay.
utility. And where it sits right now, it's going to be in the bottom of our box culvert, so it has to be lowered or moved. I've been talking to MLGC. And through those conversations, I asked them for their utility easement. And their utility easement shows that the county has 75 feet of right-of-way there. However, the recorder's office doesn't have any record of an official right-of-way document showing anything along that road. And I talked to Jamie about it, and I'm sure when he comes back here, he'll give his opinion on what we should do in the situation. But on these projects, basically, if the utility is within the county's right-of-way, the utility company pays to move it. If the utility is outside the right-of-way, typically the agency needs to pay to move it. It's for an improvement on the road.
Right.
But
we don't have a right of way.
we don't know for, I mean, officially in the recorder's office, we don't. I'm not sure. Their easement is done in 2012
With who?
with the landowner there. And it states that right on the easement
If the easement's with the landowner, then they should have been off the right of way. The right of way is established over time, isn't it? If it's not recorded.
Public domain.
So basically, our project
If
does
the
run along.
county road is there for 20 years and nobody complains, it's the county road.
And this portion of that road is on the section line. So all section lines, we have a statutory 33 feet on either side.
That road makes it back to the section line right there?
Yeah, it does
It did, huh?
actually.
Oh, be darned.
Yeah, the corner is right on the north end of the project. I didn't
Okay.
think it did until we did the survey.
Such a windy little stretch of road there, I didn't know if it ever got to the,
Isn't that 33 feet for townships and county gets broke more
It's for every road in the state. It's the
for
first-
section lines?
Yeah, for any section line. I mean, most of the time, counties have more right of way than that.
Yeah.
But when I was talking to Jamie, he knows it better than I do, but he said he thought all the documents had gotten burned up in a fire years ago.
Or the dog ate them?
Or maybe it's unknown what happened to him, but he said there's nothing recorded within Griggs County except what he's been able to do in the last couple of years. So the question is, okay, well, how do we want to proceed with this? Do we want to buy the right of way so we have the official documents in the recorder's office? And then if we do that, do we pay the utility to move the fiber line, or we have them move it since according to their document that are in our right of way?
county has never purchased right away, I don't think.
Yeah,
Have we?
I don't know.
I would doubt very much so.
No.
I mean, a lot of times when these roads were established, that landowners just donated the land for a dollar.
The landowner still owns,
It
the
was-
landowner still owns the land.
Yeah,
The only place where a right of way is owned is the state highways and the federal highways.
yeah.
That's where it gets deeded out. That's what I've seen on abstracts anyway.
Yeah, and they allow the county to use that portion of the property. And it's usually a distance from the center line of the road or the section line,
Right.
more than 33 feet. So yeah, I guess I just want to know, we do have the right-of-way plat is put together. So I just need our professional surveyor to stamp it and then give that to Jamie to do what he needs to do with it, to the landowners on either side of the road, if we want to proceed that way.
The landowner is the same person,
On both sides there?
yeah.
Okay. that makes
It's
it
May
easy.
Munson.
What was the name?
May Munson.
May? Okay. We're just talking about that right away stuff on the Dow Bridge.
Okay.
And basically, just how do we proceed with that if we need to, should buy it and get it officially recorded? Or maybe they'll donate it, I mean, that's an option too, but.
It's an easement.
It says,
You know, and I didn't tell you this either. Everybody's thought, I mean, those easements were at one time signed by all the landowners, and they're the ones that sat in the county shop building and burned up and were never recorded. It probably would be an easement by prescription because it's been held out as an easement since the 50s or 60s or whatever, so I don't know if it's that big a deal. I mean, I think we did that one for that drain, and everybody signed it without any fight, and that was highly contested, so I think if we did it, I don't think it would be that big a deal.
so, I don't get the problem. You said it's 40 feet?
The utility line is 40 feet from the center, or from the section line, so if we're going off the 33-foot statutory right-of-way, they're technically not inside our right-of-way.
But this easement says the existing road right of way, which is 75 feet from the center of the road.
And that's what's coming into question here is where that 75 feet came from, because that can't be reproduced in the recorder's office. That's the question.
Those easements were never recorded. Those were the ones that burned up when the county shop burned up. They never were recorded. I don't know why they never were, but I don't know. I think, have you had a conversation with MLGC to see
Travis.
what they have to say?
I texted him already.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to them throughout this. They gave me costs how much it's going to cost to lower it or move it, but we had not talked about who's paying for it yet. I wanted to figure out the right-of-way situation first before I said, well, you guys are paying for it or the county's paying for it.
Well, that right of way has been held out there for 50 years, so I mean, they were under the assumption that they were within the 75-foot right of way, even though it wasn't recorded.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, I think if we wanted to be forceful, which I don't know if you guys want to be forceful, but if we wanted to be forceful, we could sue for that.
Oh,
that right of way. It's been held out for 50 years.
Since there's nothing
years
hooked up,
we've had it.
you get a voltage
So,
regularity. It's a beat.
I don't know, I think if you want to talk with them and throw the responsibility at them, since they are at least under the assumption, they were at least under the assumption that they were in right of way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
It'd be a lot easier to get along with them.
Drives me nuts.
They got that 75-foot number from someplace. I'm guessing yeah, from every other county that they work in, and they were under that assumption. And Steve, go play ball.
Okay.
Jack, I thought the townships, or the county had a larger easement of right of way than what the 33 feet. that
They
all
usually do.
townships have.
Usually it's 75 feet from the right of way.
Well, that's what, I don't get where the problem is. The
Yeah.
power company put forward this easement, and they put 75 foot in it. The landowner agreed to the 75 feet.
Yeah,
It's 75 feet.
yeah.
The power company just put the cable in the wrong place.
Wow.
It's their document here.
Where you at? Oh, it's not in here.
No,
It's the phone company.
read this paragraph right there.
Yeah,
Both parties have agreed to it that it's 75 feet. I don't think it has to be reproduced.
Okay.
I mean, that's my interpretation, isn't it, Jamie?
Well, like I said, I think that they were under the knowledge that it was 75 feet. They got it from somewhere.
Right, and the landowner agreed to that,
Right?
and the power company agreed to that, but yet the power company put the
They in
put the line inside at 75 feet.
Right,
That
I
shouldn't be our-
think the Browns need to move it.
Well, sure, I mean,
I said May Munson, her name is really Virginia.
Virginia.
That, it's the
Okay.
same person.
But I mean,
She's in a nursing home up here.
the telephone company produced this document.
Right. No, and they signed a
They're the ones
document
that
saying
produced it, so I-
within the 75 feet.
Yep. They set the rules and then they broke the rules. It's not our.
Well, they're not,
No, they intended to put it there. They know they're already.
Yeah.
Yeah, they intended to put it on the easement, so they weren't gonna have to pay the landowner for the use of that land.
But then they should have to be.
and that's their problem moving on.
What's
That-
the chances of anybody replacing that box culvert? So they just put it in.
well, it's not a box culvert, it's a wooden bridge.
Bridge,
but-
you know,
The utility takes the risk when they do that. That's why we never put stuff on the highway right away. We always put it 1 foot off. That's the reason. If the highway came in there to widen the road, they had to pay us to move.
Sure.
But they have the power, the phone company has been arguing about it, or they were?
They have not been arguing
Okay.
about it.
Okay, whatever.
I've just started
Yeah.
conversations with them,
Okay.
but I want to make sure everyone's on the same page before.
Well,
we
Jamie,
start saying who's-
Jamie will have to be the overall.
I think it's their responsibility to have to move it.
Lower.
They set the 75-foot easement in there, they put it within 40 feet. So I think it's their responsibility to move it. They've been the ones they've done that every place.
Sure,
They
yeah.
did that up on the county line road, they put it in the highways or the easement up there. I think they're about the only ones that do it. I think Troy said, I think power companies are on.
We never do that.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's not a problem with them, then it won't be a problem, I don't think.
They'll just go in there to lower it anyway.
Yeah.
It's funny that fiber they can stretch that stuff. It's a crazy deal.
Yeah, they might be able to just take it down and get a little slack.
I think,
That's what we've been talking about. They don't need a lot.
can't remember who I talked to. I talked to somebody and they said that when they had a problem, I think it was Tom Dahl, he was ditching or something. They came in there and exposed it for a long ways and they just left it hang there and the cable settled to the bottom of the trench and they covered it up and away they went.
Maybe.
It was like, I didn't know that stuff would do that, but apparently it does.
So that takes care of the utility part of it. Do we still want to go through with the right-of-way document? Or should we just show on our plan the 75 feet off this easement and call it good?
Well, I think I'll go. Have you looked on the recorded documents on there? There's no easement recorded.
No.
Well, isn't that the easement right there?
That's the
That's
utility
the
easement.
utility use.
Yeah.
Oh, for our easement, for the,
I had Christie look in the document to see if they could find it. Couldn't find it.
none of our easements were ever recorded.
None of them?
I don't think any of them were on the county roads because of that fire.
And there's just an easement to maintain the road and that sort of thing, so.
But typically the easement, describes what can be done within the easement.
Right.
So, if you look at a road easement or a utility easement, they'll say, okay, we need 10 feet on each side of this, or a 20-foot corridor, and no trees can be planted within that corridor. In the case of a road easement, it would be, you can't put anything within this easement, and you can't farm it. And if somebody comes along and wants to put fiber in the bottom of that ditch, they'd have to come to us, not the landowner. Because the landowner's giving the whoever has the easement, control over that piece of dirt.
Right.
I mean,
And that- and
you
that's
couldn't, you couldn't go out here and build a house under the WAPA line. They have 100 feet on each side of that line. You can't plant a tree, you can't build a building.
And that's why they come to us instead of the landlord in this situation.
Exactly. So,
And
Well, it
that's-
isn't affecting the landowner.
No,
no. So, my question would be, Jamie, since that happened, and since these county roads have been in place since the 40s, can we file a blanket easement on the county road system claiming 75 feet of right of way so that it is on file?
I think,
Because it should be an easement by prescription.
right.
Once you're in, I think it's a 20-year window.
25-year window.
25?
Yep.
If nobody complains, it is what it is.
Yeah, and everybody's believed it's been an easement. That's why those ones, we did all those ones.
I know, but if
Separate ones were
if a utility, obviously, the telephone company came and looked and they didn't find an easement, so they went to the landowners. I wish they would find one, so they'd have to come to us.
Right, no, I understand what you're saying, and
Right.
we've been working on it, but it's kind of a long process. But I've never thought about just filing a blanket one for each county road and just doing every piece of property. And I'll have to look into seeing if we can do that.
I don't know if you can.
I
I'm
don't know
just,
if I don't know if we can either, but it'd be a heck of a lot easier for me too.
right.
Some of them are treated differently. Some are farmed right up next to the bottom of the ditch.
But that's not supposed to be that way, especially our county roads that are farm and market roads, they're state aid roads. So if we ever get caught and audited, we'd probably be in some trouble and lose some state
Yeah,
aid.
but I own to the center of the road, and you have an easement for the road. And you're not using that from the bottom of the ditch out. And when it comes time for you to reshape the road, you can take those acres, what you need, to reshape the road. But after the road is built, that's still my land. You have an easement for the road.
But those easements prohibit the farming of that property in the month of the ditch where that easement is.
It depends on
If
how
it's
the road is
still
shaped.
Right.
Some of these township roads don't have a ditch.
No,
So, but most of the county roads have a ditch, and you shouldn't be farming the outslope. So, because basically you end up getting rid of the ditch over time.
Well, that's when you have an issue, when you're farming that inslope of the road, if they're getting up too close.
Or the outslope.
But that outslope thing, if you're gonna go 75 feet, that's
Well,
gonna
it-
be much further out than what that.
Yeah, the
inslope
township roads are. They're
is. The township
wider.
roads are.
I mean, the county roads.
County
County
You
roads.
can drive up County Road
It's not-
15.
it's not a township road, it's
The
just.
fences
county
are
roads.
75 feet off the road.
The permanent structures. the
And that's
permanent
because, and that's
structures.
because of the easement.
Well, they didn't wanna move the fence again when, if you decided to build the road.
But anyway, we don't need to solve that right now.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Do we want to do the right of way document or not?
Trying to see.
Completely up to you guys. We're just showing our plan 75 feet. And our catch lines are within the 75-foot mark, so.
I mean, I don't know.
Why open up a can of worms?
I think we go under the assumption that we have a 75-foot right of way on all the township, on all the counties system.
I think so too. It's under prescription. Like I said, we
And
believe
if
that
Jamie
we
can
have-
get us on record, that would be better somehow.
I'll see what I can do.
Well, that's fine. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page there.
Okay.
Okay, as far as that project, I've got two other things. One is a reimbursement request for the state in the amount of $8,150. And the other is for our environmental document, there's a signed decisions document that goes into that we need signed on all federal aid projects. Just the county agreeing that they want to move forward with the project. So, just need,
So do you concur with the project concepts as proposed, that questionnaire?
yes,
So we need to answer that yes.
yep, I got the sheet here, Troy.
And do we have no build alternative?
Yep, so basically when we put these documents together, they want to see the different alternatives, and there's always a no-build alternative.
Oh, sure.
But in our case, we got a no-build alternative, and then the box culvert as alternative B. So is there any questions on that?
We've already voted to do this, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. It's just a formality that the state requires as part of that document before the final is submitted.
I think we usually get a motion on requesting these reimbursements, so.
I'll move we send the funding reimbursement request for project 20032.
Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else, Jake?
No, that's all I had unless there's any questions from me, anyone.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you for your time and for signing that down.
Thank you. Oh, you want this?
That statement.
Oh, you mail that in?
Yep.
Okay.
And
When's the bidding process start?
bidding for that project is in April. So we got the final environmental document is due Monday. So with that sent in, and the preliminary plans are due in January. So when we go through with the federal aid, the process just drags on for a long time because they have a lot of different submittals that we usually don't need to do. But
Okay.
You need to from me, Jake, just let me know.
okay, yeah, I think we're good. If we're not doing the right away, I think we're good to go. So
He just
Thanks.
needs to make sure we don't need to.
Yeah, I'll check on that to make sure.
okay, and
I'll
I'll
let you know sometime next week.
and I'll talk to MLGC, and I'm guessing they're not gonna have a problem. If they do, we'll discuss it again. So,
Okay.
all right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jake.
I've got Kevin Wolford here from Buckers out of Devil's Lake, and he is here. We're just gonna talk a little bit about the upcoming motor graders possibility. I didn't see your agenda, but what your speech is.
I guess I was just more or less here to visit with you guys on the opportunity next year for your guys' motivator bid. But, talking Wayne, it sounds like your guys' lease is good through September of 2018.
I thought it was, The second, end of the second quarter. I thought. Wasn't it, Dale?
Yeah, that's what you
I had it on my phone, I lost all my data.
Oh, yeah.
I think I had it in an email.
It's through 8/23/2018 is when the balloon payment
August.
is due. And on May 23rd, we make our final payment of $72.52.30.
What's the payment?
$72,522.30. I guess I could talk a little bit about that. When we did this in 2010,
32,000,
$72,522.30.
What's the yearly payment, or is that the yearly payment?
That's the yearly payment.
Yeah.
When we did the 2010 bids, we'd already made our payment for that year in May. So in that case, then we didn't make a payment again until the end of the following year, because we had already spent the money, didn't have enough budgeted to pay a payment on the new machines. And the reason we did that was to save some money on the newer ones that were coming out with Tier 4 and they were gonna be higher price and stuff, so.
What's the buyout on these, the ones we have?
Buyout on these are $668,000 or $678,000. And when we turn those machines back in, that'll cancel out the payment.
Yeah.
I did talk to Jim Hill and Troy Mailer from REO.
So on 5 years, keeping those machines would double the payment that we have on them right now, basically.
If you took out a 5-year note on them, you mean? Probably.
I mean, real close, 678,000.
They have 4,000 hours on them?
Not quite 4,000.
So what does a new machine cost?
With snow equipment, you're over 300,000 purchase price, depending on how they're equipped and spec'd out.
That's the actual price of the county with the discount.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, ballpark, don't quote me on
No, I'm just for prime, so 300,000.
And then you had snow, I mean, that's a base price for the machine, then you had snow equipment on top of that, so I mean, you could get into the 315, 320 range.
3 what?
315 to 320, depends on how you're equipped. You guys have whip rippers, so that's additional cost too, so.
So what would that be?
Rippers usually around in that 12 range, so
So is 350 an accurate number for everything to replace these?
that would be a high range, I would guess.
What on these leases like that? What's the residual after 5 years? What percentage usually?
It's all, I mean, I haven't done a lease quote, to be honest with you. Last bid I went to for a lease was last year, so.
So it appears like the lease on these last machines, the residual is about 50%.
That's all reflected on market too, you know, where the markets are at on the.
I mean, what's the warranty on them?
We go out to 8 years on ours, and with the option, if you wanna go longer, we can do a quote for longer, but our standard, warranty goes out to 8 years.
One thing that we ran into in Nelson County just this month, we got cats up there, and we got like $5,500 bills for the emission stuff on them. Is that something that's on a lease? And apparently that's something that is responsibility of the county to take care of.
On the emissions,
Yeah, I think what it was a DEF filter. At least one machine or all machines are approaching, I don't know, 3,000 hours or whatever. or the DEF filter or something else. They're like $5,500.
But there is maintenance stuff within that warranty that the county is.
I'm sure any filters is the county's.
DPF filter, emission filter, but as far as anything emissions, other than, just maintenance parts would be under warranty. I guess I don't have Nelson County.
You live in Nelson County, don't you?
I live in Eddy County.
Oh, okay. You're close.
I just want to see Nelson County, yeah.
Well, it's just something that came as a surprise to the commissioners that it was all emission stuff and it was filters, but those filters, that stuff was $5,500 for the.
Well, I believe you.
And I don't think that's just cat solely either. I think that's probably.
No, that's every one of them.
Yeah.
So they aren't running DEF?
Yeah, they are running depth fluid. The Tier 4 final ones are all running
Okay.
depth fluid.
I guess that was more something for you guys to take into account because we're still gonna have maintenance.
These are
For that's expensive.
Those are enough.
No, maintenance if you own them too.
That's one of the reasons we
Either
did
way.
it early, is we didn't have to deal with the DEF.
Did we get all of them at the same time?
No, one was later.
Yeah, we got them all at the same time.
I thought one was later, or just because it wasn't available.
Well, we got, the last time, we got so much problems with the one up at Binford,
Okay, that's why.
so then they brought out a different one that was 2 years newer than,
Oh, but that just filled the current lease
just
that
filled
we
the
had.
current lease, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when we traded it back in, there was a little more value in that, whatever on it. back.
Just because of Howard's, I suppose.
Yeah.
You're not sure what the lease price would be?
I don't have the numbers with me today. Utility speculation, and as far as the warranty, there's usually not any surprises as far as, because our mileage is included in the warranty. Our hoses are covered in our warranty at standard. So other than wear items and some maintenance issues, I guess would be the only thing that could be coming.
Just some real rough figures, using the $350,000 and a 50% residual left in the machines and an accrued interest rate of what, 8% of the leases, which normally it is. Over the 5 years, it looks like it would be somewhere in that $40,000 per machine per year.
Double what it is now.
Right, but what that would be in line, but buying these machines outright is gonna be as close to that anyway. But the difference, of course, is you buy the machines outright, you have a residual at the end, and in these leases, you don't.
Right.
And we budgeted, what, 130,000?
Only 110.
110. The problem, and I mean, Wayne knows better than I do, but we don't cash flow on our road department budget. We only get 30 mils. And when you take the salaries, the cost of the employees plus the cost of the machines, the 30 mils won't cover all that. We're operating on a false illusion because of these Senate and House monies, which really are in the budget. They make the budget look flush, but they have a very specific purpose. They can't be shot over to help out for machines or anything else.
Right, we also get the highway distribution.
Yeah,
That's
but so
that's
from
what pays most of our.
Plus the
salaries.
townships pay us,
yep.
maybe not enough, but
So I mean, it's really getting tight as far as cash flowing because of we are stuck at that 30 mil, and that's maxed out, and that was by voter discretion. So it's something to, cash flow wise, I think it'll be about the same keeping the machines we have or buying new ones.
Only thing is you have a bunch of old machines.
Yeah. But you have a bunch of old machines that have a value at the end of 5 years, where
And then
at the end of
you've got to
5
get
years,
warranty
no
on them.
value.
You can't get that many years of warranty on them.
I think that was some of the trouble they had years ago when they owned their machines, is that when they got to the end, they were junk. You know, there just wasn't a lot of value left in them. The maintenance was killing them.
But when you get to the end of a lease, they are junk, they're absolutely worth zero.
Yes.
I mean, there's no value there.
But as far as for us setting up our budgets and those sorts of things, we'll know what the dollars are gonna be over that period of time, rather than saying that the motor goes out after the warranty and then it's an extra gob.
But the budget's already set, Mark, for
Yeah.
this year, and
Yeah.
there's not, I don't think there's gonna be enough in the budget to do that.
see
or
what
to
you-
sustain that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is, and we'll have to take a lot closer look at it here in the next couple months. But we need some, not hard numbers, but we need a little bit more ballpark, because this is really a
And
lot
they
of
can't give you
speculation.
hard numbers because I want to be competitive when they're,
You don't
when you
know.
bid. You can't
Yeah.
say, I'm going to bid this.
And right now, we're 20 weeks out on new ones, and bids that other stores I've seen from the competitor, I can't speak for them, but they've been similar,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
Well, we could always do it as far out, so at least we got a planning tool.
Yeah, can you come with more hard numbers for us? If you were to meet in another month or so, or?
Well, I mean, as far as your bid specs, I mean, are you guys, when you guys call for bids, I mean,
You know?
Yeah, we can't hardly, we can't
No.
require him and
Yeah.
then
No, that's
expose,
right.
and then he expose his price
That's
to the
right.
competition, that's not, well, we can call for bids, and we don't have to take them, we can reject any bid. If they're 20 weeks.
Well, at least we got some numbers to plan with anyway.
Because we're gonna end up doing, if I understand right, we'll end up doing budget before we get, having to get any numbers.
No, the budget's already been done without the numbers.
That's what I mean.
So we have to make the numbers fit the budget.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If this is ballpark correct, we've budgeted enough for 3 and not 4.
Probably.
Because we're gonna be turning these back the end of the fall,
Well, maybe.
possibly, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also a cost, we don't know exactly what's
Well,
gonna
we're gonna
cost
have
to
to
turn
do
these
one or
back.
the
We have
other,
to turn them
get
back
them
with
to
50%
turn.
rubber, good glass,
Right.
some other things.
Right.
That hasn't been determined yet, they'll come in and
That will be determined until they come out and they
Right, yep.
evaluate each machine.
So it's really too early to make a decision.
Still have
We need a
time.
bunch of facts to make a decision.
Depends upon when you pay, usually you make your first payment right away at the year of the bid, right?
So we're really upside down. Because the first payment and the last payment, and so we have to add $72,000 for that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so do we want to put out
I think we want to put a bid on until like,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we want to wait till maybe after the first of the year and then.
sometime after the first of the year. Because it takes,
20 weeks, right now is where we're at, it's like 5 months.
Yeah.
and Kevin said you probably want to make as much use out of our current lease. As many hours on them machines as to start.
Because your lease is good to August, and it's up to 6,000 hours. I mean, you don't want to turn them back before you guys are already covered under their.
But I mean, March, we put the bids out, we give a month, so 6 weeks to get it back in. It takes you out to the middle of April, and 20 weeks from middle of April is way out into October. So it has to be done before that.
How long have you had them?
2013.
13.
Beginning of 13, end of 13?
May.
Yeah, we should get really good rolling on this right after the first of the year anyway. That's 5 months, 20 weeks.
So they're 4.5 years old.
Be 5 years
Next May.
next summer.
They got 3,500 hours on them?
Yeah, 35 to 37 probably, or something like that.
No, we just need a whole bunch more information before we can make a decision.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm not.
No,
No,
you don't
fine.
expect.
Not your
you-
fault.
We don't expect you to give away your,
Yep.
no, that's not the way it works. We expect everybody to come with a bid, and then we can make a decision.
Yeah.
Kevin just wanted to come, I've been talking to both companies and, kind of come up with some numbers and I failed. I should have had higher numbers, which is probably going out here. But if I'd have estimated 130,000.
Well, I still wouldn't have done it because we need to have the $72,000 covered also.
Right.
So we should have been up in the $220,000 range, which wouldn't have fit with the budget.
There's
So-
been some big price increases since the last time you guys have went.
No, I'm not faulting anybody, it just.
One of our bigger ones ever.
So you don't get discounted and or billed for overage until you get to 6,000 hours.
I think so. It's so many years or 6,000.
So it's a 5-year
5 years
lease,
or
6,000 hours.
6,000 hours.
We're not
in 5
even,
years.
we're halfway there.
And I think that's the way the warranty of 260 months or $6,000.
So is there the ability to extend the lease we have?
There is.
I mean, at least till we get to the next budget cycle, we could make, or so we could get it, so there's actually money to do it. I mean, that might be an option, if we could extend it as where we're at close to the same payments and see what happens. How much longer are we covering?
They only get 800 hours a piece on them. We got too many of them.
Well, there's lots of things to consider, there's no doubt about that. But we need more facts. The
thing
warranties
about-
on them are, the engine and transmission warranties are how long on the ones we have now? What's that?
6,000 hours over.
60
5
months.
years, okay.
Thing is, the less machines you have, the more hours you're gonna get, which means that they're gonna be turned.
I know, but the way this lease is written, we're costing ourselves money not using them more than we are.
Yeah, that's why we gotta use them until the end of the period.
You know, you're not going to get. You're only
Well,
going to
but
get.
you'd rather have hours left over than paying a penalty for going over that.
Why?
Hours, because it costs you X amount of dollars per hour per.
Yeah. Do you get credited if you have 1,700 hours left to use on your lease?
Ideally, you should come to 5 years and 6,000 hours
Yeah.
at the same time.
Which you can't do, so you should go slightly over. Otherwise, you're leaving hours on the table, if you want to call it that.
Unless do you credit on account of condition?
No. They charge on account of condition. The leases have to go back with 50% rubber, with glass. There's a few other
Yeah.
provisions that have to be up to snuff before, otherwise you're charged against the lease.
Well, I mean, that makes sense.
Oh, sure. No, it's all.
But at the end, you've got a buyout
Yeah,
and a dollar that's already written in there.
Yes.
So at that time, if our units are worth more than what that buyout is, then we're further ahead to buy them out
Right.
Well,
than turn them in.
If we can afford to.
you have to play it against, not at that time, because you're still going to keep the machines. So you have to play it against how much residual value is going to be at the end of the 5 years compared to how much maintenance that's going to cost you to keep them to that extra 5 years. Because it's not what they're worth at the time of the buyout, because we're not going to turn around and sell them again.
Right.
So it's at the end of our use period.
But they're not. They're kind of like tractors. They don't start giving major trouble until they got 10,000 hours on them. If you take care of them.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that part of it, but it's.
Well, that's just from people I talk to
Right.
that are
Some do.
in the business.
Some do.
Yeah. But I mean, it appears like we're in
The warranty's off on my 7130, but I think I'll keep using it for a while.
Yeah. It appears like we're in a budget quandary anyway, because we only have $110,000 allocated towards graders for next year, and whether we buy these out or buy new ones, we don't have nearly the money. But the only option for next year is to continue the lease at the payments we have until we get to a point where we can
Budget for it.
budget for it or make arrangements otherwise. So that's the way it appears to me, but maybe it's.
See what they come up with.
Yeah.
But we'll have to, like you say, we'll have to start at first of the year with this process, the way it sounds.
Yep, we can do that.
Why don't you do that?
Yep.
Get us some information.
Tractor,
Tractor.
lease. I did budget for that.
Yeah. How many hours on him? We didn't put many on, did we?
200, about 300 hours maybe. We were all at 400.
Yeah.
Same
Thing.
Same cost for next year.
7,500
73.
something. Yeah.
7340.
And how was in the budget?
I had a call from the mayor of Hannaford. Still got speeders in Hannaford.
That's your problem?
He wants to know if
You tell them you could spray their leafy spurge, but you can't do anything about the speeding.
she wants to put in a speed hump.
No.
Not a speed bump, a speed hump, a portable speed hump.
On
And
city
it slows you
street?
down to 10 to 15 miles per hour
On a county
On a
road?
city street?
on the
or-
county road.
Sorry, Charlie.
Okay, want to make a motion?
There is one, there's the railroad tracks. That's a speed hump.
Not a speed bump, she told me, but a speed hump. So I researched it.
What's the hump and a bump? It's a longer distance?
Longer distance, 10 to 15 miles
A
per
hump
hour.
is up and a bump is down, right?
I mean, wouldn't the county be liable for something like that if it caused accidents or?
I said, we can't plow snow. Well, no, this would be a portable one, she said. Well,
God, I hate that. You spill beer all over your shirt when you hit them.
I can sure see, I can sure see problems with it.
You're on the recorder, bud.
I said I would bring
I-
it.
Have we made provisions for a lower speed limit? Do we have signs in there?
They put 15-mile-an-hour signs.
Were they talking from like Cheeks going west or
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked Jake Logery, and he looked it up. He couldn't find anything that said we couldn't do it or that you couldn't do it. I don't know if he went into the century code or not, but
Who cleans the snow off that street?
we do. But they would take it up in the fall. They bolt down. They drill some holes, and they put these plastic deals in, like you put in the wall here, and then you screw their leg
Anchors
bolt
in.
in there.
So were they going like halfway down or something or what?
I suppose it'd be like halfway. I know it'd bring up a lot of.
Sounds like it's a good way to tear up the asphalt down there, then we have to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tell them to put in a video, so that it picks up the people as they drive through or speed through with a little sign thing that usually Sioux Falls gets me on every time I go around Sioux City.
You get your speeding ticket in the mail then?
Yeah, you get your little picture of your license plate and,
Need another road going around the northwest side of town.
yeah, bypass there.
They said that picture thing isn't legal in North Dakota, where they automatically take your license.
Yeah.
But she said she talked to the state about putting in one of those flashing signs that says your speed limit
Yeah.
on the highway. But they wouldn't pay for it. It's like $5,000 for those. So,
I think
Has
they
she
need to
talked-
talk to the sheriff's
I
department.
was gonna say, as you talk to the people that are supposed to be responsible for such things. That would be law
That'd be a
enforcement.
good place to start.
I would think so.
Yeah.
That's,
Do it enough times the work gets up.
I just can't see where the county wouldn't be liable for if that speed bump caused somebody to lose control or break something or who knows what else. Jamie could answer that, but
Especially if they're going the speed limit. hammer to hit.
It doesn't seem,
How good are they gonna stay down?
And can you, it's 15 miles an hour there? Are they next to a school or what?
Well, they lowered it way down because of all the old people and children, right?
They're able to do that on a county?
it's in town.
City limits, yeah.
Okay. That's-
No, I mean, I sympathize with their plight, but I think that's law enforcement that should be fixing that.
Anything else, Wayne?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys' time. I have
Thanks.
calendars for you guys, and I'll be back to this way next week. I'll hoping, like I say, Matt, your guys' thoughts on your desk here.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. The doors are very good. Where there used to be ice, there's water standing.
And it'll be ice.
It's not very cold, so it's pretty warm in there. But inside or outside? Inside for change.
You used to be able to heat one out and melted it outside, huh?
Yeah, very nice. Appreciate it.
Connie. I can't find any of my postage meter stuff that I've looked up before.
Probably easier to let you guys if I just sit here so you don't have to crane around here. The two quotes, what pages do you have me, 27 through 35?
Yep.
Dakota Mailing, I just got. The Neil Post one is from last August because he didn't get back to me, so. But our contract is up with Dakota Mailing January 11th. We've had problems with the scale, had them out, they still can't get it fixed with the machine, I mean, not the scale, so. Buying the machine is fine, but we cannot buy the meter, so we have
Yeah, you can't
to
own
still
the
pay
meter.
that $50 a month. Now, she didn't give me any proposals for buying, she just gave me the monthly. If we keep our current machine, the payoff there is $1,400. But, so I guess I just wanna know if you want me to keep after this, Doug Cameron to get.
You're paying
another quote.
$155 a month now, Connie? Is that,
Pardon me?
what are you paying per month now? Or
It's 167.25.
oh, this is a Pitney Bowes machine you have?
Right. And we have right now we have the DM 400. And I don't see a problem going down to either the 200 or the 300. In the future. It's nice to have, the 200, if you look at the picture, it doesn't have the sliding that it'll pull the mail through. It's really nice to have that, like this morning when we mailed 1,500 envelopes. But,
Right.
But that's once a year, so we'll survive.
What do you suggest?
Well, I'd like to see us continue with the lease, just because having them come out with the maintenance and that. I don't see, if we buy it, what are we gonna do with it? Like 5 years down the road.
Yeah, you throw
They
it
seem
away.
to, they just, and they'll take them back and get rid of them for us if we keep the lease going, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't make any difference to me either. I don't know if you put anything, what you did in the budget, I don't know what you did for postage, if you put in enough to purchase or not.
I don't remember.
So,
I mean, the comparison is purchase and a maintenance contract compared to lease at the end of 5 years, because you can't consider them worth anything at the end of 5 years. So
right.
if you can achieve the same goal, and I would suspect that purchase with a maintenance contract is probably gonna be the same price as a lease over the 5 years.
It's very possible.
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
I can,
You're gonna get to the same place.
Yeah, but I mean, we could check that. I mean, if you, similar machine, what does it cost to buy it and have a maintenance contract for the period of the lease? And
right.
then it would kind of tell you which direction to go.
Which machine would you want? Or which company here?
Well,
Are you satisfied with what you have? or-
we've had a Neo post before, and we have the Pitney Bowes right now, and both were fine. I mean, I can't even
I think we
remember
have a
what
Neo
did.
post in Toma, and it's fine. We had at Macville, we had a FB,
Mhm.
and that was a problem. I would never buy the French deal. What's
Franco
Fabi?
type Australia,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had lots of trouble. To the point where after we merged with Toma, I sent it back and we just go to the post office and buy a roll of stamps. Postage.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't mail that much in
No.
Macville anymore, but we don't mail statements or anything from there.
So, I guess I'll keep after this Doug to get me quotes, because he's got the
He's
the
the-
prices, the state.
He's the Neo guy.
Yeah, the Neo Post one.
When do we need to move?
I would suppose by the first meeting in January, since it's January 11th.
Okay.
I don't know what date you have that, is that?
The first meeting is the 5th.
Yeah, that'd be like the 4th.
So, I'll try to get you more information then by next meeting. Well, I will get you more information.
Or do you just, I mean, you guys,
Well, I think you should just take the lowest option of when you do that. I think.
Mhm.
Okay.
What are we gonna look at and say, yeah, that's lower, and you have the ability to do that anyway. It's,
That's fine, that's what I will do.
yeah.
Yeah, you're the one that has to use
Okay.
it.
Well, if anything comes up, I'll ask you, but otherwise I'll go with yours. All right?
Thank you very much.
thanks, Connie. Hey, thanks for the mail.
Oh, sure.
How did you get by with a little packet?
You're loaded, I'm not.
Yeah, something like that.
Damn well.
Yeah. Josh looks pretty large over there.
I rest my case.
Yeah.
You wanna take 10?
I make a motion we take a 10-minute recess.
Been moved by John to take a 10-minute recess. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Taylor. All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Pose same sign. Cheers. So what was that? Call the meeting back to order. Travis.
I guess first thing on the agenda is for the server room, the AC unit stuff. I gave you a price on one of those portable units, I guess. Is that something you want to consider, or are you still talking about just putting holes in the wall for natural ventilation? If you want me to do that, or the...
Does it stay cool if you just open the doors?
Not really. It's deadheaded in there. There's no actual vents or stuff like that. So
Gotta
it's-
have it go in and out, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a little concerned about if that'll still be enough air for just having those holes cut, and top and bottom. And that's why I recommended the split unit, since that's a forced air system. Then I guess so. But another thought I had was we could try cutting those holes in, with the idea that if it doesn't work, we'd have ability to just attach that split unit or that portable AC unit then into it.
So
So we're not doing,
the suspended ceiling is just a negative, it's a negative.
in that room, it's completely sealed. There's nothing in that, so for us, we'd have to cut a hole in the bottom and then up above into that suspended ceiling.
Right, yep.
But it's just a negative pressure.
Negative pressure, so.
And my concern is it enough negative pressure to get enough air moving through that, is what I'm concerned about, so. Because the servers do, I mean, they do produce more heat than you would expect sometimes from those things, so.
Well, I mean, the function of it, so depending on the pressure, you can do the calculations, but it won't take as big a hole going into the negative pressure as it will coming out, you know.
Yeah, if you're not forcing it.
Right. So I mean, it's probably if you put a vent that big in the door, you'll probably only have to put something like this for the negative pressure to pull it into the ceiling. You probably wouldn't want to go much bigger than what they use now. What do they use? Or do they just let the air leaks take care of it?
This room hasn't been finished. They were supposed to put in, because this is the concrete room, the Sally port, and then the one over are the all concrete enclosed. That ventilation system's never been finished in these rooms. It's just hanging up in there. They were supposed to put ducts in and put cut holes. That's never been done. Because the air exchanger too, that's in the Sally port, has not been hooked up either.
So what heats this?
This is heated by, I think, that thermostat there, and then just the electric heat there. The rest of the courthouse has ventilation, you know, the negative pressure ceilings in. So, and I think there's 6 or 7 zones or something like that operate this.
But the returns are wild on all 7, all 9 of those air exchangers or air handlers.
Yeah. So they're each like zone is sealed off, and then they have a pipe that goes into that, and then they use the suspended ceiling for the wild return. Then so. And that's where my concern comes if there's enough negative pressure for being able to pull that enough air through it. So,
well, couldn't we just shut off one of the other returns or one of the unused offices there, unused storage buildings, storage rooms?
Try to keep creating
try to keep
more.
try to keep the square inches the same. So if we open up a 6-inch hole in the server room, could we go shut one off somewhere else?
I guess I'm not certain how that is laid out. Theoretically, yes.
Because if it's a wild return, it doesn't make any difference.
You're creating more pull from that room then and stuff like that. But I'm not sure how that's all laid out in there. I have to look at the plans for sure. But
Why don't you just cut the holes
I think we should try
accordingly as if we were going to put in another unit, cut the holes, and then if it doesn't work,
we can hook up the unit then.
Don't you think?
Because then we're not doing double work or.
You could almost get like a bathroom fan and put it up on the ceiling and blow it into the return air ducts into that plenum.
That's another option. Yeah, we'd have to get an electrician to hook it up online.
Right.
To do that. But
Shouldn't have to if it's negative pressure.
No, maybe not. If the air handler's running, but they're not fan all the time, are they?
No, right now they're not. We'd have to make sure we did do that where we
On
always
that
have
zone.
on that zone. We'd have to make sure that is always a fan on to keep that negative air moving. So
Right.
And then just make sure the inlet is considerably larger than the outlet so that
Yeah.
you can pull it through there.
And I would put that in the wall, I guess, just because if we're going to do it in the door, we wouldn't be able to hook up a portable AC unit then. But another option too is
You want the inlet and outlet to be really close to the same size.
No, if you had because the inlet they're both inlets, but the inlet into the negative space is going to be what determines determines the flow. So the air will be going faster there than if you use a bigger inlet in the door. So it'll make a wider area and it'll pull the air slower.
But it'll
Same volume of air, but it'll move it slower.
It won't move the same volume.
It's only going to move whatever volume that the negative return can take.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So should I proceed with that? Just cutting 2 holes in.
Let's try that.
Try it out and see what it's like. And
Yeah, I mean, you can start small on both of them. I mean, whatever they use for, they just must use wrong.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Like, what I probably would do is, I think we can get like square ducting or rectangular ducting that goes down into a 6-inch or 8-inch duct, so we could get a bigger opening and leave it like that. And then if it didn't work, we would get that adapter plate going down to the round for the air conditioner then. That way we'd have a maximum amount of air that's going through the
But
wall
if
itself.
we're gonna put an air conditioner and force air into the negative pressure, we're going to
Well, the
eliminate
split-
the negative pressure.
Yeah, the portable AC units, they have it in and out, so it would just hook up, pull air from the hallway, and dump air up into the room then. That way, the room itself would never actually have any air moving through it. It would just have the unit moving the air that's in the room across the cooling coils. And then your heating side of that is just cooling it from the hallway and dumping it into the ceiling.
So where does it exhaust it then?
In the ceiling. So there's two pipes.
Right, so if you're
We just would dump it
forcing
in
more
that room.
air into the ceiling, then it would pull, naturally, you're reducing that negative pressure.
The ceiling in the server room is sealed, so we'd have to go up into the ceiling and then cut over to that one. So what I was thinking of doing is just putting a grate there and up in the ceiling, with the idea if we did need to have the air conditioner, then we'd have the exhaust to that one. Same thing on the bottom, and just have a grate with the ability to have that adapter put on it then.
But wouldn't we make it, if we did that, wouldn't we make so that we didn't have negative pressure then in that zone, and we would effectively take away the ability for the forced air system to work?
I don't think so. You would, you're recirculating the air in the server room, and you're pulling air out of the plenum just to get the heat away from the refrigeration, and you're dumping it back in there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically it's the split units like that, or split units, and then this portable one is a 2-zone or 2 separate systems. There's 2 air handling. So
You're gonna pull the air from the negative,
we're gonna pull the air from the vent that's in the hallway, so
Okay.
from outside the room,
okay?
and then that's gonna go into the
And where are you
heating
gonna dump
side,
it?
and then we're dump it into the ceiling in the hallway. So the room itself isn't
Right.
that air is, it's still sealed because
I
if
know.
we had that.
But if you're doing that, you are decreasing the negative pressure in that ceiling. You're bringing outside air and dumping it in there, and if you force it in there, the more you force it in there, the less negative pressure you're gonna have.
The
in
ceiling
there
in the
because
hallway is where we
because
would
it
put it.
doesn't
Try
matter.
to hold it back.
Because all you have for taking it out, creating negative pressure up there, is the fixed unit itself, the main heating system. So if you allow more air into there, you decrease the negative pressure in there.
You're pulling it out of the same place you're putting it into.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
It will be.
He's pulling over the hallway.
And then I'm putting
It's
it
the
in the
same,
hallway.
it's
in
the
ceiling.
same plenum. You're pulling it out of the hallway below the ceiling, you mean?
Yeah, so I'll be pulling out of the hallway
Oh,
below
well,
the ceiling.
no, why wouldn't you take it out above the ceiling and just dump it back in another place?
Yeah, we can do that too.
You have to. Yeah, otherwise you will destroy the negative pressure in the ceiling.
Well, that little fan isn't gonna destroy that big heat, the air handler in the, it isn't gonna overcome that negative pressure. But,
But then if we put just holes in the ceiling and the floor, we'd have to block the one if on the lower side if we put that air conditioner in there. Then if you wanted to take and dump from the ceiling plenum. Either way, I mean
if you put a return air duct on the outside in the hallway, you have to put a piece of cardboard behind it. It won't be.
But
Yeah.
what happens if we just cut one in the ceiling first and open the door and see if it works?
yeah, I could do that. Just see how
I
much
mean,
airflow
then
is.
that if you just open the door and see if it works, then you can put the
grate in
return
or-
grate
yeah.
in there.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be the easiest way.
Okay, I'll start with that. Then I'll put the hole in the ceiling then and just see how much air. Because I can use the door to kind of gauge that too. Open it up a few inches
Sure.
and see how that works.
See if the heat's still accumulating.
Yep.
Because obviously the air conditioner's working fine right now.
Yeah, it's warm enough outside, so it'll keep working. So.
It's kind of a shame to dump it outside now.
Yeah, the heat. That's just it. You're losing. You're paying for cooling the system and dumping the heat out. It'd be nice to dump it into the building and recoup that cost for it. So.
Okay.
Which we will if we have put this AC unit in, or if we have the vents cut in. So.
Right.
Right, yep, either way.
Okay. Second thing on the agenda is Windows 7 is end of life as of 14th of January 2020. So I'm just trying to plan ahead for budgeting. We have 2 years to get done, basically end of 2019 to get that done. And what that includes is our servers as well. Those are end of life. That's into we have Windows Server 2008 R2 right now. What I submitted today was the cost for the licensing for those servers. I think we have enough money in the budget this year yet. I plan just using that to kind of spread it out for, we're not gonna hit everything in 2019 and get a huge hit for that, so. And we'll use a server 2016 for quite a few years. So that would be a good option to upgrade at this point. And then look at maybe a couple desktops this year too, if there's money in the budget still. The reason I'm asking too is like the new equipment budget line item, I think it would go over if we put this in there, but the budget as a whole does have money, so. So most of our systems in the courthouse are Windows 7 right now, so we're looking at replacing, all those by 2020 or basically end of 2019.
Servers are running 8.
2008 R2, so.
Right. That's what. And they're not gonna quit supporting that until 2020.
Basically end of 2019 through the 14th of January 2020.
Right.
But I'm looking at the cost, to try to split up that cost across a couple of years, 3 years.
But this is all the servers, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, this is just server cost. So.
Right. So that isn't very much money.
Yeah. Then I was be a little bit of labor to get everything updated and moved and stuff like that. But that would come out of this year's budget. And then, we would be replacing some computers next year, and then 2019, we'd have to see how many computers we would need to be replaced by the end of that. And, with that January 14th deadline, it's nice we can still get into the 2020 budget to pull some computers, but I don't want to be waiting till last minute and then having to replace 10, 15 computers all real quickly to meet that end of life time, so.
Well, you don't need to replace a computer just because you're going to put different version of Windows on.
No, and that's just it. Like what we're looking at doing is, what I want to talk to you about is just the computers will be replaced as they get of age. So we're going to run these Windows 7 machines as long as we can. But I want to have some plan for at least replacing a certain number every year, so that we're not just having to replace all of them in 2019. So. The oldest ones there's a couple this year I'd like to replace if there's money in the budget.
Why would you have to replace them all in 2019?
The Windows 7 is no longer supported, so we can't have that on the network. You can't actually use them anymore. The state IT won't allow you to have it connected to the state network, because there's no longer support from Microsoft.
Can't you just upgrade the Windows on the machine?
That is an option. The problem with that though too is machines are getting pretty old. They're not compatible with it, or they haven't been certified with it, so it may or may not work. You might have problems with it. And a lot of these machines are getting upwards of 7 years old, so they're due to replace anyway. So it's not like I want to replace a 2-year-old computer. I would never, we'd run that thing till the end of 2020 or till that end date, but most of the equipment we have in here is between 5 and 8. I think the oldest computer is 9 years old right now. And that's one of those computers I want to replace this year, if there's money in the budget.
Well, new computers have Windows 10 on them.
Yep. So we'll we have to replace computers at a certain time anyways. So look at replacing the oldest ones, and then still staggering that replacement so that we're not hitting everything at a time. So. And then next year we'd be replacing, the older computers. Basically what we do is we wait till the end of the year, and if their computer does fail, then we replace it. So if the computer goes out, 7 years old, there's no point in fixing a 7-year-old computer, replace it. And then at the end, like here we're doing in December, we look at what's left in the budget,
How many computers do we have?
I'm not certain actually, 30 somewhere around there, 32 maybe. Laptops, desktops, public workstations, things like that. So we are working with like the sheriff's office for looking at getting their laptops replaced through a grant. So we're going to be trying to put applications in for that over the next 2 years.
Don't do DES.
And then with the clerk of courts too, we're looking at trying to get some grants to replace some of the equipment since it's court operated, so it doesn't come out of the county's budget. But I still want to plan to make sure we're not just coming to you guys at 2019 and expecting you to pay a huge bill, try to get stuff done. So trying to spread it out a little, make it not hurt as much.
much is local storage utilized?
Like how much gas space we have right now here at the courthouse, or?
At the workstations, how much?
Oh, local stuff, very little at all. Like the new computers we usually get are the 256 megabyte hard drive in them. It's just basically for the operating system, the programs to run. Everything's stored on the server.
Why don't we run a terminal services network so we don't have to have all these laptops, desktops?
I will be probably looking into that. I think when we did last time, when we did the upgrade to this equipment, a lot of the programs the counties were using didn't support that kind of environment. It didn't work correctly with it, so we went with that. So it's when we look at replacing this server, probably in 2022, probably is we're kind of looking at that. That might be.
Yeah,
a
but
good
the
option.
water's under the bridge if we replace.
Well,
all
I
of our
mean, at
desktops.
any point it would be too, though.
Huh?
I mean, when you go to Citrix or a virtual environment like that, you're replacing all the boxes anyways and having to upgrade the servers. So it's not necessarily a cost savings on it, but it also depends on what programs are running locally or what is supported on a system like that.
No, what I meant is if we replace 30 desktops before that time, then it won't make any sense to go to terminal services network because we're not going to put in dumb terminals that if we got a whole bunch of computers sitting here.
Yeah. So I mean, if we wanted to go to the dumb terminal situation, we would have to look at upgrading the the license environment for that.
Right.
And then also testing to make sure the programs that are utilized by all the departments will work in that kind of environment too. So I see it happening because a lot of the stuff is moving to web-based, which an environment like that it was great for. You have a box that can be just unplugged and new one plugged in is pre-configured. There's nothing, everything's on the server then. It is a nice environment for stuff like that. But I know there's other programs that we utilize on the local machines that didn't support it at that time. So we do have to review that if we wanted to go that direction.
So you just replace the CPUs then?
Yeah.
So I mean, what are they? $500?
We try to get ones with 5-year warranties at least on them. So we go midline level usually, and that's $850 to $950 for the units. It kind of depends on which department what they have for stuff. So we try to get 7 years out of each desktop. So I know it was this commission's request that we try to make sure we use them as long as we can. So
Right. Anybody else have any questions, or I'm the only one that's curious?
Out of my realm.
Yeah. I'm in trouble with my phone.
All right. Okay. Anything else, Travis?
I guess, well, if we can go forward with that purchase of those licenses, and then if there is money left over in the budget here come the next meeting, if we can purchase a couple desktops to replace, I guess, so.
Okay.
If that's.
It's in the budget?
Yeah, the line item's gonna go over, but the budget itself is gonna be within it, so.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to talk to you guys, because it would go over that new equipment budget line item, so. We'll make sure we don't go over. I'll work with
You make an
office.
amendment to the budget then, a note in there that where you transfer the money for.
Yeah, we'll put, the new equipment will go over, and then we can, gentlemen have to make an amendment for it, and.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you guys, have a good day.
You too. See you, Travis.
Yeah, have a good day.
David? You think this is in the best interest of the county to make the residents provide verification?
Yeah.
Can you quantify that?
Pardon?
Quantify that
Quantify in what sense? Yeah.
financially?
I think it's in the best interest. It's also kind of what we're kind of legally obligated to do as it kind of stands.
Whose legal opinion is that?
From what we see of from what I've read of Century Code, this is something that
It doesn't say in the Century Code that the counties have to force the residents to verify.
I wouldn't say it's forcing.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's it's a request. I think from what it says on the application when they're in signing the application,
Where does the application go?
from start to finish.
Yeah, from the resident.
I mailed them out to all the active, retired farm labor.
Yep.
Mail all those out, and then they come to my office, and then they're stored, in a binder.
The county doesn't assess those. Don't these things go to the township?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering too. Wouldn't this process start at the townships?
Has to. We don't assess property.
The
Yeah,
assessors?
in terms of the assessment, I'm not.
In terms of the exemption, I think it's the same.
The exemption has to be approved by the township.
I think it starts there, and then it's sent to the county during the tax equalization period,
Yep.
and then we'd review those at that time.
Okay.
But I think this process would start as far as the letter, but it'd be nice if we could have some sort of standard letter, so we're not, every township isn't sending out a different one. I think is what you're getting at.
Yeah, I think
Isn't it?
like to.
No.
There is a standardized form.
Yes, and that's what they've sent in the past.
And that's all we've ever used, and at the bottom of the form, it says, by signing this, I verify that I am qualified, that I am qualified to receive this exemption.
No, I have the application right here. It says, I am willing to furnish proof of income if requested to do so by someone authorized to administer this exemption, and I understand that making false statement in a governmental matter is punishable as a Class A misdemeanor provided in.
That's right, and the statements they made qualified them for the exemption. My question is, how many farm exemptions did you mail out?
There are,
Just a rough number.
well, to be exact, there are 106 active farmer applications. There are 40 vacant residents, 31 farm laborer, 47 retired farmer, 2 beginning farmer, 14 surviving spouse, and I'm not sure about 7 status.
So what are we in, 220 total?
No, for the income, in terms of eligibility for the income, that only applies to the active farmer.
Okay.
It's
So it's 106.
How many do you believe are in violation?
I haven't had time to.
That's for
Is
the
there a number?
township
I'm
to
not
decide.
sure. I'm not sure specific or a rough number. If there's farmers that have a spouse that works in town, that would lead me to at least, I don't know for certain whether they are above. There's a $40,000 limit of.
Isn't there 2 criteria?
For active farmers, yes.
It says, yes, of $40,000 and has received net income from farming activities, which is 50% or more of the annual income.
In any of
So
3
you've got to
preceding
meet
years.
both. You've got to meet both criteria.
So if
in order
there's,
to.
so in terms of how many yeah, there's 200 applications that I've been looking through from what was sent out last year.
I think it's not to interrupt, but I think your correct answer is not. You don't want to assume anybody is guilty until you've got
that's
the
fair.
information.
Yeah, that's
So
that's
it's
a good
just a
point.
process we're going through.
And I'm still kind of learning. I still kind of new to the county and learning who's who and all the different names. And
You don't need to know that. Only the township assessor
Yeah.
needs to know that.
Yep.
And if the township equalization meeting sends those things to the county, that's good enough for me. I do not think we should be out collecting income tax information from the citizens of
Yeah.
Griggs County. And besides that, there are laws, privacy laws, that you
Yes.
need to know and understand to do that. And I'm not willing to have the county spend money administering this exercise and educating somebody on how to legally do it, because I don't think there's enough people doing the wrong thing to make this the right thing.
Well, I think.
So that's
at the
how I
township
feel.
level, those people they're better equipped to be able to figure out who's
Who and where.
who could possibly be violating if you request more information anyway.
I'm not.
I know,
I'm.
as a county official, I know better what the people at Sutton are doing than the people on the east side of the state, and that's what the township officers.
The state tax department likes to bully citizens. I don't.
But isn't that what you're getting at, Lee? Doesn't it?
Well, I think-
Don't you believe that this process is to start at the township level? But we want a standardized form? to be
Yeah,
sent out?
yeah, there, I mean.
No, that's
standardized-
what we're
that's
doing.
been
Yeah.
done.
Yes.
The question
yes.
here is whether we collect the income tax information from
Yeah.
people to make sure that they qualify.
You mean the
And-
second criteria?
And I'm going to say no. I'm not going to do that. If they say they qualify, I'm good with that.
You're in the crux is what it is. We've been doing it this way forever. Why would we want to change one bit? Why do we want to in essence, call all these taxpayers? After all, it's their money. It's not ours.
Yeah.
If they say we don't get anything, we just keep shutting down services. Why would you call a taxpayer a liar? That's what you're doing here. You might find a few of them that have been taken advantage of this or mistakenly taken the exemption, but the rest of them, you're going to cost them a huge expense. Now they got to put all this information together. You're going to offend them. You're going to put their information at risk. You don't have any justification to be looking at anybody's income tax or financial statements. And thirdly, who instructed you to do this? Do you know what works at the pleasure of the county commission means? Okay, then let's get back to what your duties are. Let's not be the IRS or the local version of the IRS. I don't get the motivation behind this.
I don't think that's what I'm proposing.
You are proposing something that if it was enacted, you would have a complete uproar. You would have 100 people at the next county commission meeting wanting to know why we were calling them liars and questioning whether or not they were being truthful, because the majority of them are being truthful.
I fully agree the majority are being truthful. As Mark said, I don't think we start on the assumption that anyone is lying. What I found out from around the state, this is done in 33 counties around the state.
That's another good reason not to do it.
It's also not done in 17 counties.
Actually, 21 for 20 counties.
20 counties. There's
Well,
only
we have
33
17.
doing it.
But what this is, if you look at Ward County and Cass County, Grand Forks County, and Barnes County, Stutzman County, the places with probably a larger outlier area that you don't know people. That's what this is more centered at. It's not centered at Griggs County where there's 106 of them. It's centered at the larger counties where there's 5,000 people that live outside of town and they may be claiming an exemption and they're working in town. That's kind of what this is more centered at. I don't think this is centered at the small counties where everybody knows everybody.
The right thing to do is for the legislature just to get rid of the exemption, but until they do that, I think we should keep doing what we're doing. I'm not in favor of doing that.
Well, again, you're forcing us to call the people that are using this program liars.
So,
and that's just not what I was elected to do.
I know I don't apply for the exemption.
Neither
I know
do I.
You don't.
Neither do I.
So, no.
I have a question. In a scenario where, like Troy, what's to stop you from applying for it? If you filled out this application and said, I don't want to earn $40,000.
And Dean Munson would say, you know what, buddy? I know you drive to town to work every day, and so does your wife. Are you really going to do this?
That's right.
Because at the bottom, you're still accepting responsibility.
Yeah.
As
Yep.
you,
Peer pressure is what stops it.
And that's what it is. I mean, that's why I said, that's why the people that are on the township board, they're better equipped to answer or look at this than you are or these guys are, because they watch what their neighbors are doing every day. They know if, I mean, our township board knows what my
they all live
within
township-
6 miles of each
Yeah.
other.
The township board is acutely aware that this is a zero net sum game.
Yep.
So if somebody is not trying to do the right thing, they're gonna help them out.
but I think, I understand what David is saying, is that we're looking for a standardized form in the county.
We have
And I
that.
think he
We've
has
had it. No, we've
And he
had it
has
forever.
Yes.
He's trying to change something that wasn't broken. He's trying to bring in an ideology that we don't have here. That we don't question whether or not our citizens are
Yeah.
being truthful or not.
And it starts at the township level.
This is a process that starts from the bottom and works
That's
up,
right.
not from the top and works down.
That's right.
If there's someone in my township that we think is doesn't qualify when it comes tax equalization time,
Yep.
it gets addressed.
Now, I think what David should do, and I think he should pay more attention to the homestead credit and the veterans credit. I think there should be seminars. I think the older people and the veterans that could possibly qualify for this should be made aware of that. That is, and the state reimburses us for that. That's why the state requires financial information for those two programs, is because they are the ones that have to reimburse it for it. If you want to be a benefit to the taxpayer, then let's do things that help the taxpayer. Let's lower their taxes where we can. Let's give them tax breaks where we can. Let's not offend them and go after them as if they are chattel that we get to use for our own benefit. This is an ideological thing. That's a reason why the tax director works at the pleasure of the county commission, so that we don't have somebody going rogue and doing something like this. If the people don't like what we're doing, they get rid of us, in turn that gets rid of him. We got to realize what we're doing here, and this is insane. If we get this ideology where we just use the taxpayer for the benefit of the bureaucracy, we're going the same way the rest of government is going, and I'm not prepared to do that.
If you read what it sounds like the letter, it sounds almost like you're assumed guilty.
Assume you are guilty.
Yeah.
If you got to get the exemption last year and you send it in this year, but you got to send a whole file,
Yeah.
including tax returns or financial information, and you have no idea whether or not that's going to be maintained and be not disseminated out all over,
Sure.
whether by fault or by
Sure.
purpose, who in the world would do that?
I'll give an example. It's not a county thing, but so I made an investment, and there was it was a private offering, so there's rules that apply from the federal government. And then one of the investor qualification questionnaire, I had to fill out a questionnaire, and they ask a series of questions on there, and you have to answer yes to one of them. And one of them had to deal with your net worth, which is the only one I qualified for. So I said, okay, do you guys need a balance sheet? Nope, you just have to initial that and then sign the back page, and we're good.
Yep.
So this isn't a lot different, in my opinion.
No.
So to me, if the taxpayer says they qualify and they know what the rule is, I'm good. So, and with that said, I think David got the message. So we can quit pounding on this horse. I think
I'm not.
I think she's quit breathing.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to overstep any bounds. Trying to, based on kind of what
I understand.
It's not trying to invade people's privacy.
No.
I saw that there's legal requirements that someone has to reach to receive the exemption.
But the onus is on the applicant, not on the tax director.
Yeah.
So
On the administrator.
right. So
And one thing, because I'm just for the beginning farmers. Let's see, I've done sent out for today. I've sealed the envelopes for like surviving spouse, beginning farmer, retired farmer, the some of the vacant residents and some of the farm laborer. And so what I intend, I'll mail all those out, and I don't know whether from what the past 2 years of folders, it seems like everyone returns them to the county level, or if township boards see them as well. But in case not, if the townships, I don't know if I think that
Here's what,
because I'll
You're right,
communicate
you're right
between.
about that. It has come back at only the county level.
but it shouldn't, should
You're
it?
right, it shouldn't.
I think we see them also though. I think I've seen.
Well, what I intend to do.
I think you should bundle them up and send them to the township assessors.
Maybe, yeah, absolutely,
In a lot of cases, he's going to be the township assessor.
I get that.
sometimes.
That's
yeah.
fine. But if he brings that to the tax equalization meeting, those guys that live in that township are gonna know if they smell a rat or
I don't
not.
think they go to the tax equalization meeting. They're this time of year is when this takes place. They're not part of the tax equalization process.
Oh,
Like, this information I have to upload something to the state, I think, by end of March, I want to say. I'll double check on the deadline they suggest for farmers submitting this is February 1st. And then
but to me, they have to be presented to the township.
Yeah,
They have to be.
if they aren't done till February 1st, then,
Here's my reasoning, and maybe it isn't a good reason. The city approves all of these things before we see them. If it's a veteran's credit or, those kind of things. All we do is look at them and say, okay, the city approved it, yeah, we're gonna approve it too.
Mm-hmm.
I think these should be the same way.
I think from a central clearinghouse portion of reasoning behind it is why it happened through the county like this, and no doubt the the veterans and the homestead credit, it has to be centralized at the county level because the county is the one that turns it into the state for reimbursement.
Yeah.
The farm residence doesn't get any reimbursement from the state level.
No.
It's only the other two.
Sure, right.
Again, this is something that isn't broken. This is something that just needs to
it's a process.
leave the way it was.
Yeah.
And we need to, this is my point of view and my point of view only. The tax director should be in place. Tax director of equalization is what it says. Well, equalization, we've always equalized to the high end. Whenever anybody equalizes anything, when the state equalizes something, when we do, they always look at what's the highest price and they want to move everything else up to that. It's not to the middle point or anywhere else. The taxpayer is always at a disadvantage. We tax them the highest rate we can, and it's up to them to come in and request to be lowered. I believe that the tax director's position, my position as a county commissioner, should be to find tax and breaks for each resident. I think we should always be trying to lower their taxes. I don't think we should worry about the income coming into the county. The income that coming into the county gets distributed in order to provide county services. If the taxpayers don't want to provide income for county services, that's how the system's supposed to work. Then we cut county services. It's not the other way around. We don't have to bring income in to provide for a bloated bureaucracy. We let the income come in as the taxpayers want to pay it and adjust the bureaucracy accordingly. It's an ideological stance, and if you don't get that from the start, it's never going to work right. And that's what's happened throughout our government, from this level on up. And for my part, I'm not going to put up with it. And then if the voters want to get rid of me because of it, that's good. But I'm not putting up with raising anybody's taxes. I'm not putting up with calling somebody a liar. And I'm not putting up with putting our citizens below what we are. I'm done with my speech now.
Okay.
You'd think after I said it so
Anything
many
else?
times, it would eventually catch on.
Also, what I intend to do, I'll send out the applications.
Yep.
If there is a township board that isn't receiving applications, they don't know who's even applying for it.
Right.
Because in some cases,
Well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they don't go back to the township.
I don't like
They don't.
I think they should.
I don't know about that. They don't, because they're not part of the equalization process.
No, but I think they should be part of the assessment process at the very least.
And that's, at the township level, that's the equalization.
Yeah.
Because
County-
if someone doesn't turn in the application,
then we'd
Then
be able
it
to
should
look
be
and
like
say,
the
hey,
township should
you gotta
assess-
fill one of these out
the
too,
township
and
should assess
send it
that.
in to make sure we get you that exemption. Just like when you're talking about the,
Well, it works
the
both,
veterans.
works both ways. If they didn't apply one and they're
Yeah.
entitled to one, they should do it too.
Well, it's reflective in the township data, because if it's granted, that's less taxes
Yeah.
going to at the township level. If it isn't, it's more. So it's reflective there. I just don't know what form it's put in.
So I'll reach out to township boards to say, hey, this is, because in case they don't know, you have, some cases you have people that, like, say, there's like a family trust in Washington State that I'm mailing this application to because they said it's a vacant residence or a surviving spouse. I don't know who the person is yet. So in that case, I don't think the township might not even know who that person is or who they're applying or whatnot. So, so after I email everything or mail all these out, I'll put like an easy spreadsheet for all the township boards so they can see who's applying and can help, because I don't know who.
Sure.
I think it's unfair to ask you to know the answers to those questions.
Yeah, yep.
That's why I think the process we have in place is just fine. They signed it, I'm
Yep.
good with it. Why,
That's right.
why don't
You don't think we should go back to the townships?
Never have. The township's never requested it. It's been this way for oodles of years.
Okay.
All we do is make people mad by changing it.
So you want to do nothing?
I want to do the same thing we've done forever.
Okay.
The only
Send them out,
thing,
return them.
when the township officers have their, in March, is it the annual township,
April.
April? Not the county-wide.
Oh,
Township officers meeting?
Yes.
Is that in March or April? I thought it was in April.
Last time.
one of them.
Okay, it's in March.
Make sure you come to that and bring up the veterans.
Veterans and the homestead.
And, yeah,
I mean, that's our senior citizens.
yep, absolutely.
The problem is, most of them are too proud in order to come forward and do it, or it's too complex. I think we should be reaching out to them and helping them with that.
Absolutely.
Because that's one thing I'm trying to ask, because I mean, we have senior citizens
Yeah.
in the town, and like once they turn 65, if they reach a certain income threshold, then they start being eligible for it. And yeah, like I don't know, work with put in an ad for the newspaper or
Yep.
at the township level or city level to educate people there. Because with I don't have the application for homestead credit on there because they have to give they do have to give
Yeah, they-
income information that they so that's one reason why I thought about income verification for this is that in terms of like verification for the disabled veterans, they have to submit a letter from the VA saying that they have a certain percentage of disability.
Yeah.
For the senior citizens one, they are writing in their income information that they
Right.
receive minus medical expenses.
And
So
the reason
that's why I was thinking
That's
was-
the state's rules, not ours, because the state reimburses us for those exemptions.
Yeah.
So they get to make the rules on that one. The farmstead exemption, nobody reimburses us for that, so we get to make the rules.
Yep. Here's the rule you should go by. Make the taxpayers happy. It'll make your job a lot easier. It'll make me happy. It'll make the rest of the commissioners happy. Everybody will be happy. Make the taxpayers mad.
Long day.
They're mad at me, I'm mad at you. That's just the way it works.
And if
And I try to avoid them getting mad at me.
And if there's some case where like I can't, on like the Dakota program software, that there's not a way that I can like just pull out a easy sheet of who's receiving the exemption or not. Like the homestead credit and the veterans one, I can pull that out easily. This one I can't really. And if I come across ones that it's currently applying to, what would you like me to do if I come across one that's like it's a parcel that the person maybe had received the application, never received the exemption in the past, and then they haven't submitted an application for however many years. Should I communicate with the township board to go assess that property?
If it's not retroactive.
No.
No, if they don't turn it in, it goes back to being taxed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that takes care of
Because
itself.
You have to do an annual exemption,
Yeah,
right?
right, yeah.
Because I've come across a few, and I don't know exactly.
What he's saying is it doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah.
Well, then that's our fault. That's our fault
Yeah.
at the county for not,
Yeah.
if
Because I
we're not
wanted to make
administering
sure
it
we-
correctly.
The problem is, the township assesses. So if they don't know who those people are, they don't know if they don't get
That's
it
right.
anymore.
That's right.
That's why I don't know how you can do this without having the township know.
No, Troy. No,
Yeah.
we send out, the treasurer sends out the taxes. All they have to do is take the current exemptions and cross-reference them against the tax being sent out.
Yeah, but see, if the property has never been assessed, if the property never has been assessed, and they quit filling out a form.
But that has nothing to do with this form. If it's, you mean that the house
but-
is just, the house was there and never got assessed?
Certainly. It's never been assessed.
Yeah.
It's always been a farmstead or whatever, and met the.
All I'm saying,
criteria,
this-
and now
Not
it-
exempt,
and now
you're
it's-
saying, yeah.
This thing is happening from the
Sure.
township level
It's
now.
got,
Well, that, because
yeah.
it was never assessed, but not the form. The form has to be filled out every year in order to exempt that
I know.
property. If you forget
Yeah.
to fill it out, it goes back on the tax rolls.
How?
Theoretically,
Yeah, because
if
it's
the
never been
township-
assessed.
If the township boards decide to go out and say, hey, we're gonna go assess.
No, that should be the treasurer.
The treasurer of the township, or?
No, the treasurer of the county. I mean, she can't send out tax, how does she know to exempt it?
It's in the Dakota program software right now.
Right.
It says occupied and then the code for.
Right, and every year, when it comes in, that exemption comes in, it has to get entered into Dakota programs. And so if
So if it
it's,
doesn't get exempt, then it gets taxed.
there you go.
So
We don't have
all of these residences are assessed?
We don't know that.
No, they're not, I don't
No.
believe
That's what
they
he's
are.
getting at.
I don't
So,
believe they are.
so
Because I
maybe,
look up a parcel that, say it's a retired, person who was an active farmer, then a retired farmer, he's passed away 3 years ago. The property no longer qualified, well, it might as a vacant
Yeah.
residence, or it starts getting rented out to another family. And then if it's rented out, it should be taxed.
Yep.
But when I go look up that parcel,
it's not assessed.
there's no residential
assessment.
value on there because the township hasn't gone and assessed
Ever
it.
since it was built, it was a
It's-
farmstead and didn't qualify for the.
So that's something
You
qualified
don't
for
need the exemption if it's never been assessed. You're not paying any tax on it.
I,
So
No, what we're
there's a
saying,
check.
John-
I know there's a check there too.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's, I think this thing's been being done at the township
Yes.
level without that form.
Say there.
I don't.
At
there's
some
a
point in
number of
time.
Properties in our township, the owners are deceased and their heirs got it, so they're rented out or something else.
Yep.
At our meeting, we brought up, this guy died, that house gets on the tax rolls now. That's,
Right, no, but I mean, if,
But what he's saying is it should have been on the tax rolls as a residence anyway. And then if they fill that form out,
Sure.
then the treasurer takes it,
Off the tax.
removes it
Yeah.
as an exemption, but it's still assessed.
okay, now here, and here's the.
And what David is saying is
It
there's,
should be in theory, but what I'm finding in practice
It's not.
is that there is no residential value on there.
But
Exactly.
And here's the check on that.
and I'm telling you the reason is because the township assessors have kind of been administering this program is through time.
without the form.
Right, but here's the check on that. If you have the exemption right here in hand, and you have the ability to look into Dakota programs, and you can see what tax was assessed against that property.
And if it was taken
And
out.
if the exemption didn't lower the tax, it hasn't been assessed. That's the check on it. So we have everything in-house in order to check and make sure this has been done.
What, no, David is saying there's residences that haven't been assessed that aren't exempt. How do you find them? That,
There's no way to find it.
exactly.
No, I know,
Because
but-
they were always exempt because they had a farmer on them.
And the assessor just didn't.
But he didn't assess them, but what I'm saying is, there's some of them that haven't been assessed, that they still fill out the exemption, correct? It doesn't do any
We
good
don't know
for them
that.
because it doesn't do any good, but that would be a cross-check to see whether or not the exemption lowered the valuation.
That's
I don't think
easy,
it
that's pretty easy for David to do.
Yeah.
But the ones that haven't been assessed and they don't have they haven't been assessed and they don't have an exemption. I don't know how you find
But I
that.
don't know if we'd find it because, say, just bring up like my grandpa's quarter, his home quarter, there isn't a residential value on there. The house has never been assessed
Assessed.
at all, so there wouldn't be any way to find it.
But it should have been.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling
yeah,
you.
Yep.
But we're off subject here. We were talking about the farm exemption, and this assessed properties not being, properties not being assessed are two different things. There's no reason to file for the residential exemption if it's not assessed anyway, so no one would do that, I don't think.
See, we're
Would they?
running it just the opposite. Instead of, there is no assessment until you don't qualify for the exemption. The minute you do not qualify for the exemption, then the property is assessed.
Yeah, I know, but that's a problem.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'll be trying to do is, starting out new, this is first year doing it, like I don't know how it was administered in the past, but trying to make sure that our Dakota programs software is right, that what's in there reflects what's in the software reflects what's
And it
in
comes
reality.
down to as simple as this, it's just like what we're talking about every day, or every time we meet. Why spend the money to harass a taxpayer that you know is gonna qualify? You know,
I agree.
Oh, so you just on a township level, you spared them from filling out the exemption by not
well,
assessing
we
their
knew
property.
that they
Yeah.
qualified for the
Okay,
exemption.
yeah, no, I get it.
You know,
Works that way too.
you know.
It works that way until something changes and then
That's right.
nobody catches it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Most of the time we catch those, because like you say, we're only 6 miles or 4 miles or 3 miles
Township
away.
is 6 miles by 6
You
miles.
try to keep 3 supervisors in each corner of the township.
But what we're talking about here, requiring all this information for the exemption would do nothing to catch any of that.
No.
Right,
no.
okay.
Well, I'll tell you, there's more than 106 exemptions. We just only have the paperwork on that many.
I'm talking about,
There's no way to pull how many are receiving the exemption.
At the local level.
Yeah, I can't.
they're not receiving an exemption, they just never assessed. Two different things.
Same thing.
There's some that have like the letter code on the legal description that they have received the exemption, but then I don't like at some point they should have stopped receiving the exemption.
I'm sure that at some point we went through and they were sent to the assessor. And at the equalization meeting, we went through who is exempt.
Which exemption are we talking about? We're talking about,
The farmstead exemption.
okay, that's only for 1 year. So
Yeah.
if they don't turn it in, they don't get it. That is every year. It isn't if they turn it in once and then they have it in perpetuity. That's every
Yeah.
year. They turn it in, then they get it. If you miss a year, your taxes go up and you pay on that property. That's the way that works. That's the safe.
assessor adds it to the tax rolls.
Right, exactly.
Two different issues.
Yeah.
Two different issues here.
Same outcome. Other than one's perpetual and one's not.
Requiring financial information
That's
will
not-
not, it has nothing to do with that
Yes.
assessment.
That is a completely off the subject from what we're talking about right now.
I can't get off that subject.
Trains on the tracks.
But, you know, if you want to go and talk to another source on how the townships would like to, you know.
Because I'll try and have close communication with the township boards of like who's applying for it. One, if I come across another, if I come across the properties on Dakota programs that don't have a residential value on there, even if it should. So try and have closer communication with the township boards so they
Well,
know.
I'm assuming you're going to end up being assessing for some of these townships.
Yeah, right. As it stands right now, I think 15. I talked to assessors and like Tasha into taking some more. So 15 townships, as it stands right now, I think 15 townships have a local assessor. Right now, I'll be doing Dover, and then I need to call the remaining 4. I think like Washburn, Sverdrup, and Ball Hill.
Willow, maybe?
Pardon?
Willow, maybe?
No, I got someone for.
But you'll take your direction there then from the township board.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you call Washburn, you can talk to Tom,
Okay.
and I think he's president of
He's
the county townships.
right.
Of the
The association too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Because I might end up.
But Dean Munson is our assessor, so I'd touch base with him.
Okay. Because I don't for Dean. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm decided the township level. I don't know whether Dean
I
has
think you'd be talking.
has like official certification anymore since he got a letter from the.
Right. I don't know. He might not do it.
Okay.
But he has the ability, if you're willing, he has the ability to operate, to do the assessing, and you can sign off on it.
You know,
Yeah. Because technically now I have the class 2 assessorship, so
Yep.
I can sign off on, if you wanted to place the values and then I sign
Should
my
make
name.
your life a lot easier.
Yeah, so at most, right now, at minimum, I have one township that I'll be doing this, on the personal level, and then, there's 4 remaining outstanding ones, like the Washburn that
Okay.
hopefully I'll try and
Are you
have.
gonna contract with them individually, or are you gonna, so that with this county doesn't have to bill them? That would be my
Yeah,
preference.
I kind of gathered that was, what you guys
Yeah.
were leaning towards.
Well, it goes back to that same old thing, you gotta, if we gotta bill them, then it's gonna be,
Yep.
it's a happy taxpayer, unhappy taxpayer equation.
Yep.
I wanna stay in the happy taxpayer side of it.
And
Taxpayers
is
are always
well,
unhappy.
and being 60%, then that gives me 2 other days during the week to do the assessing work for.
There's degrees of unhappiness.
Yeah.
We wanna shoot at the high side of unhappiness.
Anything else, Steve?
Nope, I'll keep you guys updated. I'll be, hopefully, see, next week, I'll be finish sending out all the applications and letters, and then some point, during December, then I'll reach out to, well, we decide whether either December or maybe beginning of January, I'll reach out to all the township boards and say, this is who I've sent letters out to, kind of help me determine whether I should or they should approve, or whether they want to approve.
Or just make sure you didn't forget about any, or some didn't get sent to, that sort of thing. But I think it's a big deal that we make sure that, like John was saying, the veterans and those folks.
Yeah, because
Make sure that they.
I think like Dennis Grishka would probably, he'd be a main point, he would know, I assume he would know all the veterans in the county. But for the homestead credit, I'm not sure.
Well, seniors, contact the senior citizens.
Yeah.
The senior citizen centers in each town, there's one in Binford, Hannaford, Sutton, and Cooperstown. If you could attend their meetings, that would be the first place to outreach to that. Because again, there's a lot of proud senior citizens that would think that they were infringing somehow, or don't understand the process. And if they could made to feel better about the process, it would benefit them. It would benefit everybody. It would put everybody in a more frame of mind where this government is helping me rather than beating up on me.
Or there was like because the homestead is for senior citizens and disabled persons. So there's one that forgot to fill out the application. So I called her and made sure she filled it out. So then doesn't have to pay property tax necessarily. Or like I had one that she had lost track of the income and expenses wise, and said, well, stop by. We'll try and work something out. So because I know she would qualify. And just see what we can do to.
I think there's a whole bunch of those people out there, and I think they deserve help. And I'll caution you one thing, though, that's going to make your state minders unhappy.
They'll be fine.
No, they won't be. No, they won't be. They don't push this for that reason.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very
David.
much.
Jamie.
Well, I know you guys can, I guess, read or have probably read those emails.
I read the majority of them.
After the last meeting, I spoke with I think John has spoken with maybe Greg Wills a little bit. It seems like we haven't got dates as to maybe one time wage reimbursement since 2006 or 2007.
But it's coming.
No. What we got is all we're getting. They just
That's the line we got. It's coming.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's coming. I don't know. Bob told Samantha he's going to send a letter. I don't know if he did.
I looked on her email. There was nothing.
I don't know. It'd be nice to have Bob be here to answer to it, but I don't know what you guys want to do. I guess I've talked to Joe, and I mean, we need an emergency manager. We're statutorily required now. We want this manager. It costs us money that we're not being reimbursed. the way it's been happening.
If it's true that we haven't been paid only once since 2006, that has cost, and at the current levels, as far as I look back, it was always 15,000, which they reimbursed half of it. That cost us $75,000. If it's actually 2006, it might be farther back than that. We were operating under the contention that Bob was turning this in, and we weren't. Why would you call him a liar?
Yeah. Especially when you bring to his attention to have this done.
So what's your recommendation, Jamie? It appears like the state is not going to allow us to even sign up for 2017 if we try to use the current DES director. That's the tone I got from the emails. I don't know.
It's from the way I understand it is they're fed up with them as well. I think everybody out there is. So like I said, it's tough to make a recommendation without Bob here to speak for himself. I think.
Was Bob aware of the meeting?
Yeah, I believe so. Samantha was supposed to email it to him, and I think Samantha said that he was able to come to the meeting, but he was going to write a letter to you guys. I think that's what she said when I was here on Wednesday. I don't know. I guess my opinion, we need to do something. I think our emergency manager is required. It's required by statute. I think if we're leaving money on the table, it's affecting the taxpayers of Griggs County, and I don't know, the taxpayer, the emergency manager up in Nelson County does a lot of stuff. She does trainings. And I'm not concerned if there's a disaster in Nelson County, but if there's something that, I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but if the shit hits the fan in Griggs County, I don't think Griggs County is going to be one lick prepared, and it kind of scares me. And I think that taxpayers of the county would be pretty upset if they found out that we were paying wages to a tax director and we weren't ready for something to happen. Or not a tax director, yes.
I think there was only one person that wasn't upset by that.
And we're not getting reimbursed.
Right.
What do we gotta do to start getting reimbursed?
There's a long list of things that
You
need to be
start
done.
meeting the requirements. Can we,
It's a two-step process. First of all, you put in the application to be reimbursed, and then and that's done on a biannual basis. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I would guess so.
And then you apply for reimbursement, but you can't do the latter without the first. So on a couple of occasions, we weren't even eligible for reimbursement because we weren't in the system.
And those requirements of the state of the emergency manager, they have to be, I don't know if it's a certified emergency manager, but they have to take classes and attend so many tabletop exercises throughout the state and put on so many every couple of years and that sort of thing. And that hasn't been done. No, I know I did speak with Bob last week, and one of the things that he was going to bring up is and I sort of remember this from, I don't know, 2013 or 2014 was his complaint that he was unable to apply for grants. And I kind of remember the conversation, but I didn't go back in minutes or go back and listen to any meetings and specifically find the conversation. I haven't had a chance to, but I know that was one of his complaints that he was going to bring up to you guys if he would have been here.
Well, I'll make the argument without Bob being here. That was said, but it was preferenced with, we don't want you applying for grants without our permission. We didn't want another fiasco like this took place going through again. And I don't think that's a unreasonable request that we should be able to know what grants he's applying for, because most of the grants came with the financial cost of the county.
Exactly. There were matching funds, and it was.
There's a cost match obligation.
I think that discussion came
You don't get free
after,
shit just to get it. You need it.
after that COPS grant expired.
Yep.
Because then he wanted to apply for another one, and then he didn't, or he wouldn't, or he couldn't, or whatever happened, and then we didn't fund that position.
And I don't remember exactly what the conversation was. Like I said, that's one of the things he was going to bring up to you guys when he came. So.
It's a moot point. It goes without saying that without the commissioner's approval, he can't spend county money.
Right.
And none of these grants came without a cost. So he can't apply for a grant without having our approval.
One, I guess regardless, but part of the reason, I would say the biggest majority of the reason is that we lost that funding is because he didn't send up a local emergency planning committee and didn't do some of the courses that he needed to do and didn't do some of the exercises that needed to be done over time, exercises in the county. So
I think we should have a joint powers with a neighbor.
Boy, if we could.
In that line, I reached out to commissioners from Barnes County to see if they'd be interested in partnering with us. And he said he'd put it on the agenda for their next meeting, and I tried to reach him today, and because they met on the 5th.
Oh.
And I couldn't get a hold of them, and their website is down, so I couldn't read their meeting minutes. It shows a server error, so I don't know if they.
404?
I don't know if it got on the agenda. Or if they
Sure.
discussed it. He was going to talk to their emergency manager.
Should we do as we did with county agents, send out letters to area counties and see if anybody would be willing to?
Well, I'm pretty sure that Foster County has a full-time emergency manager. I don't know if she has other duties in the county or not.
You know?
Nelson County.
First of all, don't we need to terminate our current DES director?
Well, I suppose we gotta find out if anybody'd be interested for.
It doesn't matter, we don't have one, he's not qualified.
Sure enough.
Can we quit paying them then, or have we done that already?
No. Not according to the bills we just looked at.
I think another good idea, I think John had mentioned it earlier, is we should go maybe with the fire department and ambulance. And that would be
Well, I know, I guess,
great spot
I talked
for
to
it.
Paul Painter about this, and I know Ron Dahl had talked to Paul Painter about it quite some time ago. I think, and I guess I think either someone from the fire department or someone from the ambulance squad or someone even in the city, within the city probably could do the job if we had a job description for them. I think Paul said that he asked for a job description, and I don't think he ever got one. So if either another county that's prepared for it and has all the training, or someone within the city.
The world is a pretty small place nowadays. I don't know why we couldn't share this duties with another neighbor.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'd like to see.
With that said, we really don't have one now, so I wonder if somebody should make a motion to quit spending money that we isn't getting us anything.
Does the statute give us so much time to
Well, I mean, if we
replace?
can't, if we fire someone or someone resigns, I mean.
Well, they can't take your birthday away.
It's no
Yeah,
different
it's
than,
required.
it's no different than the tracks director position
Right.
we were in.
I mean, it's
We're not getting any
required
money
position.
from them, so what difference does it
We're not
make?
spending any, so.
Yeah.
It's a required position to have, but if you don't have anybody filling the position, you just have to work until you fill it. I mean, it's not that we eliminate the position, we'll be seeking someone to fill the position or seeking alternatives
Right.
to it.
That's what we'd be making progress in anyway.
I'd move to terminate Bob Hook from the position of DES director.
Been moved by Dale to terminate Robert Hook as the DES director.
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Okay.
Now, what's the next step?
Is that effective immediately?
I imagine.
Yeah. Should we wait to hear from Barnes, or should we send out more?
I think the more letters and the more options we have
Send
to look at.
have Lori send an email to Nelson, Foster, and
Just like we did with the
Steele.
county agent.
Yeah. Nelson, Foster, Eddie, Steele, Barnes. I mean, most of this is just a set of
Plan.
documents,
Yeah.
plans, and the DES director on site doesn't mean a whole lot. It's the advising all the different entities how they're supposed to act in the case of emergency, and
Well, to be
compiling
completely
lists.
honest with you guys, the emergency manager is in office. The emergency manager isn't gonna be at the incident of the scene.
No.
They're gonna be in
Right.
the office administering the paperwork.
It was
Right.
the pre-coordination. to make
Right,
the
right.
people-
It's the training of the fire departments and ambulance and any other organizations. That's what needs to be done, and that hasn't been being done. But what the emergency manager is, it's kind of a secretarial and organizational job, because when we had that dam incident up in Nelson County, Sharon, the emergency manager, was coordinating phone. I mean, she was in her office with another person, and we were calling DS and the Corps and whoever else we needed and documenting all that stuff. There was an incident commander at that point it was the highway department that was out there and the water commission. She wasn't on the scene. And that's what it takes, is a person that's there to do administrative stuff instead of being on the scene. And that's why I don't think a sheriff or sheriff's deputy or even someone that is going to be at the scene of the ambulance or maybe in the fire department, they're not going to be able to be the emergency manager because they're doing their job in the response instead of.
That's fine. That lends even better argument to have a regional DES director.
Yeah, let's not write a new book. Let's take someone else's book and write out their name and have them put ours in there and add to it what is particular to Griggs County as far as what's needed for the management plan.
Sure.
And go forward.
Well, they identify businesses that have
Have
hazardous material.
Right.
They compile the list for the fire department.
Yeah.
And part of that LEPC that was never set up in Griggs County, it's emergency. It's some kind of, I don't remember what that. Part of it is actually they're supposed to identify all the places in the county that house hazardous materials, whether it's propane or chemical or whatever. But it's part of that, those dues that those counties pay to the state, or those organizations pay to the state. That LEPC is the organization that gets that money and chooses if they give it to the fire department this year for training or for equipment, or another fire department or the ambulance, or they choose how to spend that money with that training for that stuff.
Very good. So we just want to reach out to the surrounding counties and have somebody in place to start with, and then see if that doesn't work and go from
Do we
there.
need a motion to that effect, or?
I wouldn't think so. I don't think we had one when we did the county agent.
And actually, it probably can be done with that email can be sent to one person, probably is the regional guy for DES and Joel, and he can reach out to anybody that's local and say, hey, would you be willing to do that?
I will put in the motion, I would make a motion that we appoint Jamie to reach out to the surrounding entities that he feels would be relevant in trying to fulfill
Or even
our
what
mission
they're
of,
doing.
our mission of acquiring DES services.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, South Central Dakota Regional Council. John, you been going down there to some meetings? Is this the one that the cities are gonna pay some?
Yep.
That's what we did last year.
But they just paid here a year late, I mean, basically.
Yeah.
Now it's due again, so I think we need to reach out to the cities and get their checks
going.
again and
Okay.
Is it
25% from county, Hannaford, Binford, Cooperstown.
okay?
That's how we did it before, but we finally just got it
Right.
paid here 2 months ago, right?
Yeah, right. Do you want me to do that?
sure a more equitable way of dividing that up
Well, absolutely.
than one entity paying it all and then somebody else.
County probably shouldn't even be involved.
Yeah.
I think we get some dollars out of that too, don't
We haven't.
we?
That's why we changed it, we were paying the
Well.
whole fee.
Well, we weren't getting any grant dollars out of that.
It's mostly the city.
I don't know what, it doesn't really, it's not specific, but, and I don't know what all these acronyms mean.
All you need to know is that this agency does not have any funding. They are a grant writing organization. That's all they do. So all this money that supposedly they sent to us, they didn't send it to us. We could have hired an outside agency to apply for those grants.
I think that $30,000 FEMA deal, that was to help write
Mitigation, wasn't it?
our mitigation
Hazard
plan.
mitigation.
Yep,
plan, yeah.
it was.
So that's the only thing that,
And
but if we
needed-
would have paid for it ourselves, it would have been cheaper than paying them dues anyway,
Yeah.
And we needed the hazard mitigation plan.
to get this grant.
To get the building, to get the building.
If you go back, it was like 15 years ago when the county actually got a benefit, otherwise than the cities.
North Dakota Insurance Reserve Fund, that was just a informational letter.
What's that?
The last page.
Oh, yeah.
Samantha wanted me to mention that on January 5th, which is our next scheduled regular meeting, there is a jury trial going on. So we cannot have it in here. The employee break room work,
Old courthouse.
there's no heat in there.
Did it finally go out? Coal's gone?
I think so.
You think so, or you?
No, Brian shut it off.
Yeah,
Right,
you
shut
shut
it
it off and
He,
winterized it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna run until the coal was gone.
I think he just ran it for a couple weeks after he put antifreeze in it.
Trying to get the lines jiggled up a little bit.
What did we ever hear from, did we hear back from any of the counties on the county region thing?
Not that I know of.
That was just our last meeting, we did that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only a couple weeks ago. Those guys probably have meetings.
It's probably gonna be kind of a tough situation right now too, based, because I think all the surrounding counties currently have an employee county agent, so I'm guessing they're probably gonna not necessarily wanna sever ties with that person in a situation, they have to lose someone too.
Well, he's still county, the way we talked last, is losing theirs again, because they're not gonna get funding for it, because they got under 2,000
Okay.
members, or whatever you wanna call it.
For what?
They're gonna lose their county agent because they have under 2,000
Oh, the population.
population.
I don't,
The county?
Yeah.
do they lose them or do they change the pay structure of them? I think they can still teach them,
They
keep
can.
them, but they change the payment structure.
Yeah.
I can't remember how that went.
Yeah.
But they are treated differently.
Can we back up to the DES director?
Yep.
All right, so I sent Bob an email, text. Hi, Bob. What is your status as DES director?
But you should just updated him. He's not the DES director.
I haven't finished. I will stick with it for a few months and continue to get things on track for the next DES person. I would recommend, so now we should get back to him. Hi, Bob. Sorry, that was not the wishes of the commission. Termination is immediate. That's all fine.
Yep. Because we've heard that song in advance before. Get on track, working on it.
Fingers coming down.
And
Who made the motion? Dale did.
I did.
Well, now it's already coming back to you.
Maybe, but it said my spam meter was pegged, so. My spam meter was pegged, so.
We pushed too hard.
One of the things,
I don't know, I must have loaded an application or something, because when I get one of these telemarketer calls, a little meter comes up there, the spam meter, and the needle's pegged, and I don't answer.
January 5th.
Oh, yeah.
From USA.
Oh, no. That's the January meeting. Our next meeting is
I talked
December
to
22nd
quite
at
a
9
few-
a.m.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Pretty much every time I ran into a farmer, I asked him about county agent situation. Kind of got the same response from all, but.
We don't need one.
Well, I think we
their-
need one, but we don't need added responsibilities.
Well, their biggest concern, for most of the people I talked to, the
What are we
biggest
on?
concern was 4-H. And you can't, as I talked with our county agent at the present, you can go with and just have a 4-H coordinator,
Sure.
kind of a thing. And I don't know if that would be someone local, or if that would be somebody, we would, and how many hours a week or whatever that would entail.
Right.
And
Or you could combine.
then combine with,
Another agent do it too.
and,
Well, I mean, I meant combine achievement days with another county.
sure, absolutely.
That's the biggest rub. Nobody wants to go. Everybody wants to have it in their
Yeah.
little burb, but the truth of the matter is that these things have gotten so little that
Well,
everybody would
Should
be
we
better
back
off
up
if it
and
was
add this to
combined.
the agenda and talk about it?
The county agent, I suppose, I thought that was new, future business we were talking about now.
Not yet.
Oh,
Well, we're not going to change it today. We're waiting for
No,
those
but I'll
other.
make a motion that we add the county. agenda.
Well, let's just move on.
okay,
Could,
I'd make a motion we add the county agenda to the, county
agent,
agent discussion to the agenda and make it retroactive to what we just talked about.
okay. I'll second that, you need a second? Okay,
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, now what were you saying?
well, and then that, we could go with the 4-H coordinator, but most of them, they were very concerned about losing the 4-H. And,
A few people are.
wanted to make sure that stayed active. We're at an odd time because the barn was full this year, and then some, at the fair. And there's a lot of kids involved in 4-H right now,
No, that's a good thing.
and it hasn't been, because we don't have an FFA in Grace County.
Right.
And so this is the best we have then, up to that point.
When I spoke to the Barnes County Commissioner, he said their 4-H program is drying up down there.
Oh, really?
And they like their county agent. And they said they discussed our proposal for about a half hour at their last meeting, and they didn't really want to act on it because they don't know what they're going to do yet. They didn't want to commit to merging with anybody when they really don't know which way to go at this point. So.
Yeah, just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
We have, I mean, it's a worthwhile program. We have a lot of kids participating from outside the county. I think the thing got blown out of hand. We weren't talking about doing away with the county agent.
No.
We were talking about trying to, what to do with the decrease in funding coming from the state.
Mhm.
I don't think there was ever talk about decreasing Griggs County's portion of the funding. We were talking about not increasing Griggs County's portion of the funding. Some of us got blown out of hand.
Sure.
And so, again, I've had a lot of people ask me about the same thing. I hear you're gonna shut down the 4-H program. I don't think that was ever the
No.
topic of discussion.
It's not ours to shut down, John.
I know, correct, and again, it's, all we're trying to do was adjust for that little bit of shortfall. And the shortfall wasn't on our side, it was on
The state.
their state side, and they'll have.
It was
to
their
adjust for it.
recommendation.
It was their
It was their
recommendation.
recommendation.
So,
Evidently, you guys are getting phone calls? I'm not getting any phone calls.
I have, nobody said a word to me.
Yeah,
I haven't heard you.
I have.
and, but
So, I'm glad we got to clarify that.
Okay. Water board.
Samantha's notes are that you need to nominate one other person.
Yeah, we're looking.
Okay.
Do we have any nominations?
If we could just nominate him, we have to give him a volunteer.
yeah.
Conscript.
Yeah. Forced
I do have a little
conscription.
bit for the water board too. I got a call from Tom Moe. He's representing the water board on those two appeals or two lawsuits against the, I think it's on that Silver Creek.
Yeah, there's two of them there.
And right now he's the attorney of record, so I think he needs to get with the water board or get with you guys because it's still going on.
Can't be us.
What's that?
Can't be us.
No, he'll have to meet with the water board, and they're his client, and he's gonna have to get some direction from them.
There's two of them.
So
Two
I'll get
and
in
three.
touch. I'll get in touch with Tom, but I just want to let you know that he called.
Okay.
What's the other one? Silver Creek and what?
No,
I
there's
think
two.
there's
There's
two
two
of them.
lawsuits
There's two
concerning
of them on
Silver
Silver
Creek.
Creek.
Oh, on, okay.
Yeah.
It's a lost cause.
There's two individuals suing over that drain.
Correct.
They don't want it.
Actually, I think there's more than two individuals. One is an individual and one is a
Trust.
couple.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's two separate suits, I think.
Yeah.
They're suing, disputing the results of the election or the vote, or
I don't know the terms of it.
oh,
I'm not sure.
it don't matter. Okay. Old courthouse, new courthouse.
Yeah. Did that come in when we're talking when your suggestion about the?
Oh, the social services building. I visited Troy a little bit about that. He thought that all the records could be stored at the state level. I talked to John one day about the sale of the social services building and wondered what has to be done with the records that are stacked over in the old courthouse if we're gonna have to find a home for them if that building were to go away at some point. And if the revenue.
I thought that's why we have these huge closets in here.
Is there a limit to how long we have to keep them, or?
There's record retention schedules. Some of the stuff 7 years, some of the stuff
And forever.
Some is
Some
forever.
of it's forever, some of it's for 50 years. I have a lot of the criminal stuff can go after 7 years, but a lot of it has to stay around for 50 years and it's for 6
The recorder, all that. So the closets won't do it. If you've noticed in one of the duties of the county commission is to provide safe storage of all county records. And in order to get away from building a vault in this building, which would have been enormous cost, they opted to have everything digitized. And digitizing and storing electronically satisfies the records, the requirement for records retention. Problem is, that hasn't been happened. And it doesn't.
Oh yeah, it is. They're digitized. They just haven't all been indexed.
But not all the land records have been digitized. All that stuff down in those that double story vault, none of that's been touched.
Oh, I think so. But we can ask Kelly.
Yeah. So anyway, technically, those closets couldn't be used because they don't require any protection from destruction, fire, tornado, wind, rain.
Well, I don't know about that.
The biggest thing is just get them digitized, and then if they aren't, then
But it actually says vaults in the century code.
Define a vault.
Yeah.
That looks like a vault to me.
I know.
That's why they put it in there.
Get one from Cushman.
Well, anyway, either way, none of them are sitting in there. And they're, I don't know how far down the path to digitization we are. But Dale brought up the point that if we were gonna sell that building for little or no money, it would make a perfect records storage building. And I agree.
Well, it's not a vault though.
Part of it is,
A little bit.
yeah.
Where's the vault at? And I guess
About dead center.
South, it borders the west wall.
What are you talking about?
in the old courthouse.
There's many of
Social
them.
Service building.
Many vaults in there.
Yeah.
There's
One in the treasurer's office.
One
There was one.
downstairs.
There was one in the hallway, and then the recorder's office. There's a huge vault with spiral staircase going down into the belly of the beast.
Yeah, it's 2 stories. It is huge, and all the old abstracts and everything are housed down there. All the old tax records.
Not abstracts.
The black book or the
The
land
book, yeah.
Assessment.
Not plat books.
assessment.
Assessment books are down there. There's a lot of stuff down there.
And the old, big old, about this long and about that wide, the big old hardcover, that thick. But yeah, it's a huge vault system in there. That one plus many more.
Because some of that, not all the building is 1800.
No, this isn't a vault. This all this was original.
All on the old stuff.
Yeah, there's nothing in the west part.
You mean in the auditor's office?
Yeah.
There's no vault in there.
No, this is all original. It's all. So what are our obligations, Jamie?
That's something I've never researched. I'll let you guys know for the next meeting, but I've never researched that as far as storage.
And I guess we need to know where we're at. We need to know, first of all, what needs to be saved and where are we in that process and what's the projections.
So where's it gonna go?
Right. But the purpose of the digitization was to avoid the cost of a vault in this building. Which is reasonable. I mean, it probably would have cost $500,000 to put a vault that size in here.
Or more.
So I wonder if there's somebody that could appraise the fixtures in that old courthouse.
Oh, sure. You gotta go to the East Coast, but there's big, huge businesses that do everything, all that.
Okay, with that said then,
Norm Abram.
I wonder what it would cost to have that done.
I think the process to do it so you don't have to have a cost to have it done would be to put it out on bids and advertise it nationally, and then have a minimum bid and let them come and look at it, and that would tell you what the price of it was. But that's a huge business. I mean,
I get that.
the doors, the fixtures, all that stuff. I don't know about faults, but I'm sure there's an active collector's
Somewhere.
group for collecting all that stuff.
And I don't know. I just it's such a shot in the dark for me. I would like somebody to give me within $300,000 what it's worth. Because if it was worth enough,
I can do that. Buck. That's within 300.
is that you and think it'd be worth
No,
more?
I don't know.
301.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know what's the value in there. I know the timbers are and the hardwood floors and
Flooring, the
everything
doors,
and all the
mill
metal is
work,
worth,
Big doors.
the millwork, and
woodwork.
there's a lot of
All that
stuff.
wainscoting,
A lot of stuff coming up in
shutters,
there.
beautiful stuff in there. If it was worth $988,000, that'd be awesome.
I mean, you could. I mean, it wouldn't be that expensive to have a bunch of pictures taken of it and the history taken out and put it out for bids. You know, advertise it and see what comes. There's a market for everything.
I think part of that archaeological, what do they call it, architect that you have to have in order to get it approved, possibly to be torn down, is part of that thing that he does. He'll take pictures and measure every room and do all that.
State historical.
Oh,
Yeah.
they document the.
Architectural
Preservation.
documentation. Architectural documentation.
Yes.
I mean, the hammer right now is the grant that right here.
Mm-hmm.
If that was worth somewhere close to that, I'd say sell that and give the grant back.
I think that'd be a stretch, but I think it's probably worth more than what it would cost us to have it torn down and hauled out. I believe that's a possibility. If we could have it torn down and not incur any more costs to the county, I think that would be money. That would be money.
I get that, but
Yeah.
that'd be a stretch.
I don't know.
I mean, unless we could get approval to do it.
Right. Well, everything hinges on approval to do it, and until we can cross that hurdle, there's no use trying to do anything else.
No, not if it was worth as much as the grant, you could,
Oh, you could just say,
Here,
here you go.
Yeah.
We're
they
gonna
can
do
tell
whatever,
if they want it
we're
back.
gonna
then-
do whatever we want.
yeah.
Anyway,
But I mean, if that was the case, yeah. I don't.
There's probably that much retail value, there's not that much wholesale.
right, somebody'd have to do all that work, so it's not gonna be worth that much.
Unless there's gold stored here somewhere, you never know.
Okay, future business? I suppose DES and county agent
I would
might as well go on the
imagine.
bid, on the next agenda, is that right?
Anything else that we'd have to, those maintainers? That'll be through the road department, of course.
I'd probably wait till after the first.
Yeah. We're gonna try to get another meeting in this month.
23rd.
22nd at 9.
At 9.
Oh,
That's right. Why?
Cause they're closing.
Oh, 'cause you-
Remember, you voted to.
You
make
voted
sure
to let us have the afternoon off.
I did no such thing.
we're having it in the morning?
Yes, at 9.
I won't be here at the court to record, just to let you guys know.
So January 5th, you guys wanna meet in the coffee room?
Where's that?
From our office, you can see it
Oh.
straight down the hall
Right
there.
past those bathrooms that
Yeah.
are set back.
Not very big, but
That's fine.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
So we adjourn.
We moved by Sean, then we adjourn. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, meeting adjourned. 4:06 PM. 22nd at 9 AM.